All right, good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Good evening, and welcome to the November 3rd, 2025 regular meeting of the Township of Montclair Planning Board. In accordance with the New Jersey Open Public Meetings Act, adequate notice of this meeting has been provided by posting a copy of the notice on the first floor of the municipal building and by sending a copy to the newspaper designated by the Township for notices. This meeting is being broadcast live on Channel 34 and is streaming live and will be available on demand on YouTube. This meeting is a quasi-judicial proceeding, meaning that the board has powers and procedures resembling a court of law, and we are obligated to objectively determine facts and draw conclusions from them in order to provide the basis of an official action. Any questions or comments must be limited to the issues of what the board may legally consider in reaching a decision, and the decorum appropriate to a judicial hearing must be maintained at all times. The fire exits are to my right, which is your left, and also in the back of the room where you entered. And as to the order of the evening, each application hearing begins with the applicant or their attorney giving an overview of the application and the variances that are required, if any. We then hear from any expert witnesses the applicant may have to help explain the application and why the variances are required. The board members may ask questions of the applicant, the attorney, and their expert witnesses. And if you're a member of the interested public but not a witness in the case, you'll have two opportunities to speak. At the end of each witness's testimony, you'll be given the opportunity to ask the witness questions about his or her testimony. And that's not the time to tell the board what you think of the application. That'll come later. That's the time to ask the witness questions about their testimony. And to ask questions at the appropriate time, you'll have to come up here to the front of the room, give us your name and address, and then ask your questions related to the witness's testimony only. And after the applicant's witnesses and any objector or objector witnesses have been heard, members of the audience will have their second opportunity to step forward. And at that time, you may express your opinions, positive or negative, about the application. Comments are generally limited to 3 minutes per person. At the completion of the applicant's case, the objector's case, and public comment, the public hearing will then be closed and board members discuss the case and vote. At that time, you'll be able to listen to our discussion, but you will not be able to participate. And with that, let's go to roll call.
Mayor Baskerville.
Present?
Mr. Borshoff.
Here.
Mr. Campbell.
Present.
Vice Chair Graham.
Running late. He should be here in 20 minutes.
Okay. Mr. Ian Wally.
Here.
Counselor D'Amato.
Here.
Mr. Falaise.
Here.
Ms. Willis.
Here.
Mr. Neiman.
Here.
And Chair Brodock.
I'm here. And next up, we have the swearing in of our board professionals.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you may give this evening will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
Great, thank you. We do not have the minutes from October 20th, so we'll have those at the next meeting.
Correct.
Yep. Which brings us to new business, application 2940, 260 Park Street, or 260 Park Street LLC.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Alan Trembulac, appearing on behalf of the applicant, 260 Park Street LLC. This is an application for site plan approval to construct a new 3-story mixed-use building on property located at 260 Park Street. Property is on the westerly side of Park Street, and it's actually the last property located in the NC Neighborhood Commercial Zone District before the zoning changes to, I believe, 2-family beyond that. The property is 2 doors down from the westerly building at 256 Park Street, which is a building that was approved by this board, I guess about 7 years ago. I can't remember exactly. And that's the building that's occupied on the first floor by the Milburn Deli. I think it's one of the most attractive newer buildings in town. And what my client is proposing to do is something very similar to the westerly. We'd like to replicate it as much as possible and provide an equally attractive new 3-story mixed-use building, although on a slightly smaller scale. What's being proposed is approximately 970 square feet of commercial space on the first floor, with 2 floors of residential apartments with a total of 7 apartments on the second and third floors. And one of those 7 units will be designated as an affordable unit as required by the township ordinance. We're providing a total of 18 on-site parking spaces, actually 16 physical spaces, plus credit for 2 additional spaces based upon the EV charging stations that are proposed. Parking will be below the building, again, very similar to the westerly building, 2 doors away. The proposed mixed-use building with first floor commercial and 2 floors of apartments is a permitted use in the neighborhood commercial zone. And the site plan that we're presenting this evening is a fully conforming site plan with 2 exceptions. We need 2 minor variances. One is for the rear yard setback variance for the trash enclosure, which will be located all the way to the rear of the property with really no impact whatsoever on any adjoining property owners. And then the second variance is a small parking variance. We're providing, again, we have credit for a total of 18 parking spaces. The requirement under the town ordinance is 20 spaces, so we're 2 spaces deficient on parking. Those are the only 2 variances that we need. There are 2 or 3 minor site plan waivers, which we're also requesting, which we'll discuss in the course of the presentation this evening. The owner of the property is 260 Park Street LLC, as I indicated, and it's a limited liability owned by Gino DeSanti, who's sitting next to me, and you'll recall Mr. DeSanti from the application for 10 Hartley Street, which this board heard and approved several months ago. So I have 4 witnesses to present this evening, starting with Mr. DeSanti, and then following him, we'll have Gregory Switzer, the project architect, testify, and then the site engineer, Paul Anderson, and lastly, our professional planner, William Stimmel, will testify regarding the variances and the waivers that we're seeking. So I would tend to proceed with Mr. DeSanti's testimony. I don't know if the board wants to mark exhibits before.
Yeah, let's do that first.
Okay. A1 is the application. A2 is the certification of taxes paid. A3 is the proof of publication. A4 is the affidavit of service. A5 is a survey prepared by Lakeland Surveyors dated November 8th, 2024. A6 is the site plan prepared by Anderson Consulting Services, prepared April 30th, 2025, last revised October 15th, 2025. A7 are the architectural drawings prepared by Gregory Switzer Architects, PC, prepared July 31st, 2025, last revised October 15th, 2025. A8 is the report from the Montclair Fire Department. A9 is the report from Neglia Engineering dated October 1st, 2025. A10 is the report from the Planning Department dated October 3rd, 2025. A11 is the response report prepared by Anderson Consulting Services dated October 17th, 2025. A12 is the revised report from Neglia Engineering dated October 30th, 2025. And A13 is the report from the Development Review Committee dated November 3rd, 2025.
Hi, everyone. Good evening. I'm Eugenio DeSanti. I'm sure you remember me from
Our
10
council will
Hartley.
swear you in first.
Oh,
I have to swear you in before you give your name because we can't be sure that's your real name, right? Sir, do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
yes.
Would you please state your full name and business affiliation for the record?
I am Eugenio DeSanti and the owner of 260 Park Street LLC and the current owner of 260 Park Street.
When did you acquire 260 Park Street through your LLC?
We purchased the property last September of '24.
Okay. And can you discuss or describe the existing building on the property, what it's used for, and general condition, just an overview?
Sure. The current property is a legal two-family, which is actually a sorority house, which we have 10 women living there that are renting and going to Montclair State University. And we also have a detached garage. And pretty much the entire lot is pretty much paved. There is really just a little bit of grass in the front, but the entire back is all parking lot.
How would you describe the general condition of the building?
It's just a relatively older home.
Okay. All right. Then can you tell the board in general terms, what it is that you're proposing to do with this property?
So what I'm proposing to do is obviously knock down the two-family and the detached garage, and I'm planning to build a small storefront, which is anticipating to be either a pizzeria or a bagel shop, and above will have 7 units with 1 affordable housing.
Okay. Let's talk a little bit about the commercial space on the first floor. That's, I think the plans indicate that's something a little bit less than 1,000 square feet of space.
Correct.
Okay. And you said that the tenant is likely to be a pizzeria or a bagel shop.
Yes.
Do you have particular tenants in mind or users,
So-
people you know?
Yeah, so with my family background, we come from the pizza business and the restaurant business. So with my family members, we are hopefully planning on, expanding into Montclair and opening up a pizzeria. That's the main plan.
But it might be a bagel shop?
Yes, and we're also in the bagel shop too, the bagel business also. So we're trying to see which options we have, once we get to that point.
So it's likely to be one or the other, and they're both, businesses are owned by family members
Yes, correct.
of yours? Okay. Are you involved in either of those businesses, by the way?
Just to give a quick background, my family, my father and my uncle, we own a pizzeria in Patterson called Broadway Pizza. So we've been established since 1986.
Okay, and then the upper 2 floors would contain 7 apartments, correct?
Yes,
And one of those will be designated as an affordable unit?
correct.
Do you know which unit?
I believe unit number 6.
Okay. All right, then I'd like to talk about the parking that's provided, that you intend to provide, which would be a total of 16 physical parking spaces with 3 EV charging stations. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay. All right. Do you intend to assign parking spaces for use by the commercial tenants and assign other spaces for use by the residential tenants?
Yes.
Okay. How many spaces do you intend to assign for the residential tenants?
Believe that we should have at least 1 per apartment.
Total of 7?
Total of 7.
Okay. And how many spaces do you intend to assign for use by the pizzeria or bagel shop?
6 spaces.
Okay. And you believe that the number of parking spaces that are proposed is adequate for the building?
Yes.
Okay. Are you familiar with the Westerly building located at 256 Park Street?
Yes.
Okay. In terms of sort of analyzing your own, your need for parking spaces for your proposed building, did you take parking counts at the Westerly building to ascertain how many parking spaces were available or unoccupied at various times?
Yes, I have.
Okay, how many times did you count the available spaces at the Westerly?
I went at 3 different times.
All right, can you tell the board the times that you went, the day and the times that you went, and what you observed as far as unoccupied parking spaces?
So last Saturday, I went over to the to 258 Park around 11 a.m. Figure Saturday is usually a relatively busy time in the Watchung area, the Watchung Plaza area, and there was several parking spaces available at that time. And I have the number. The number was about 9.
Okay, more than several, 9.
Correct.
All right.
Put your mic on.
This is, normally there would be a parking consultant, I think, that would give this sort of testimony. I'm just wondering, the applicant is providing counts. It's unusual.
We've had the
It's
applicant.
testimony,
Yeah.
it's factual, yeah.
Testimony based upon what he observed.
Okay.
And
Uh,
we've had it a number of times
Yeah,
before.
we've had the applicant do it before. Usually there's something in writing.
Yeah.
I think that maybe that's where you're heading with this.
Okay, yeah, having a report, I think, and, well, I apologize. Why don't you go ahead and continue, because you're probably going to give us other parking counts at different times that you were there. Okay.
Yeah, correct.
So can you talk about the other 2 times?
Yeah, so I mean, this is merely an observation. So the second time I went was this past Friday, and I believe it went around 2:30 p.m. And again, there were several parking spaces available at that time. And then we also have, photos.
Hey, hang on. This is not time for questions from the audience.
Just to clarify, this is parking for the Westerly.
On the Westerly.
On the Westerly properly, correct.
All right, and I'm sorry, you said I lost my train of thought.
No, it's fine. So when I went there this past Friday, again, we had several spaces available, and I also went today around 11 a.m., and we had about 13 spaces available. And the basis for my observation is the Westerly is a lot larger building than what we propose to build, with 11 units as opposed to 7 that I have. And the commercial space of the Millburn Deli is a lot larger than what my small commercial space will be. So with the number of parking spaces that they have, that's pretty significant.
What days of the week did you go? Did you go on a weekend day?
Yes, so I went Friday,
Friday?
Saturday,
Okay.
and today.
All right. Thank you.
Welcome.
Does the Waverly separate between residential and commercial parking?
No,
I'm not- I
the
know-
west.
I appreciate that, but this isn't the time for the audience to respond. This applicant here is providing testimony, and we're taking his testimony.
So the Westerly has on-grade parking, just ground level parking, and we're going to mimic the exact same as the Westerly.
But do they designate certain spaces for residents versus the general public or the
I believe
commercial?
so. Yes, they do have signs that are designated for residential and commercial.
So which spaces were free and unoccupied when you did your counts?
1 second.
Okay, so, I mean, you really.
So Chairman, the spaces were numbered, and they were pretty just kind of mixed all over the place. It's kind of hard to say.
That doesn't help me understand. Is it commercial, was it the general public not parking there? Were the residents not parking there? That's what I'm trying to understand.
Right. I believe the residents were parking there. I think the general public was not parking there.
Did you hear Ms. Willis?
No. Well, just through my observation, so I see cars parked there that seem like they're cars for the residents. And the reason for my observation is also that the Milburn Deli wasn't very busy at the time. So my assumption with all the spaces that are filled are for the residents that live upstairs. And the rest of the parking spaces were for the patrons of Montclair.
Did you do any parking counts when the deli was busy then?
Well, I went on Saturday. I mean, Saturday at 11:30 in the morning, I would assume that the deli would be busy.
Well, you just said they weren't busy. That's what I'm trying to understand.
What I'm saying is that, they had customers in the deli, but, not really anybody's using the parking space, the parking lot that's available to them.
But I thought you just said the deli wasn't that busy when you went.
Well, no, what I'm saying is that the deli's not that busy, meaning that what I'm trying to say is that the residential parking, from my observation, seemed, those available parking spaces were not from the residents that lived there. I think it was just the spaces that were available for the patrons.
In other words, your testimony is not really based on
Ms. Willis, could we just make sure your microphone's on to catch that?
It's on, yes.
Okay.
I said it seems that what you're saying is that your testimony is based on your assumptions rather than having any evidence, because I don't know how that relates to your business if you don't know whether the cars were there because the residents were home, or whether you think they were not from the deli, but are you presuming that your business will have no business and therefore they'll have no need for it? So I'm not sure how I'm supposed to draw from what you've been saying, what that means in terms of the parking spaces that you need to provide.
I think pretty much, Ms. Willis, just to answer your question, is the Watchung area, the Watchung Plaza, is a lot of pedestrians. Obviously, with the train being nearby, it's very walkable. I mean, you could go there Saturday. When I was there Saturday in Watchung Plaza, I mean, it was just people everywhere, just walking. This is going to be a neighborhood, restaurant area. It's really going to be intended for people that are walking and live in the area. People coming off the train from the city, going home, things of that nature. But for people to drive, I don't see that being, it's not going to be, people are going to come from Montclair, the other side of Montclair, to go there. They'll probably do Uber Eats or something like that, of that nature,
I just want to point out, we're not, suggesting that this was anywhere near a formal parking study. It's just a sampling on a few days of a building 2 doors down with similar mixed use, and to just get a sampling of available parking, because we believe, and as our witnesses will testify, that the number of parking spaces that we're providing for our use, although 2 spaces short of what the town requires, is more than adequate. And part of that is based upon the experience of the Westerly. Now, you can accept what we provided or not. I understand that. It's only 3 days.
It's a little confusing, I think, is what we're struggling with. It's not, you're right, it's not a formal parking study, which, that's fine. We've had applicants do their own counts before, but to try and differentiate, and at least in my mind, commercial versus residential, there's not enough detail there for me. Mr. Neiman?
Yeah, I think part of this likely came from, or was one of the reasons the applicant did this is at the Development Review Committee meeting, we had talked about how a possible change to the plan that felt reasonable was basically finding ways to lower the amount of impervious coverage on this lot. It already has a ton of impervious coverage. This is a very modest improvement. But beyond that, I don't think it's unreasonable to cut back on the amount of parking even more to increase the pervious coverage. Because I think realistically, for this type of business in that area, folks are not going to be driving into that parking area. It doesn't look like a place the public would be parking. That stretch of Park Street has ample street parking available. I think it's very reasonable to have some residential parking. Folks are going to have cars, even though that area is incredibly walkable. But I think for the business, especially a business of this size, which is going to have a lot of in and out traffic, setting aside almost 6 parking spots for a restaurant like that is just excessive, frankly. Beyond that, you've got 2 cars per apartment, at least. And that's also a lot of parking for the number of units on the site. And so, you know, at the Development Review Committee, we had discussed this, and I still think that the amount of parking offered in this project is excessive, and that the benefits of greater pervious coverage on this lot are manifest, especially in the Watchung Plaza area, which has severe flooding issues. Look, this change in the amount of grass available isn't going to stop the flooding, but every little bit helps. And
Keep me
so
honest,
I have a
think-
feeling the observations around parking count came from that.
I think there's one parking spot per unit, if I was being a good student, keep me honest.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you over here,
I think there was
please.
one parking spot per unit. Did I hear that? How many?
One assigned parking
Yeah,
space,
one.
but there's a total of
But not-
18 parking spaces that are provided.
Got it, okay.
The zoning requires 2 units for, 2 parking spaces for each of the 2-bedroom units, and 2.1 parking spaces for the 3-bedroom units, if my understanding's correct. And so, yeah, what the applicant does with, you get this parking may be different than the zoning requirement,
Got
but
it.
the zoning requirement is very large.
Yeah.
Can I just ask, do you plan to have tables and seats inside the restaurant, or is this takeout only?
It's going to be relatively takeout, but you are going to have a few seats. I believe it's 3 or 4, if I'm not mistaken. It's a small place. The restaurant's only
Regardless
gonna-
of what it is, bagel,
Yeah.
pizza, it's going to be the same amount of sitting?
Correct. Yeah, because the place is only, it's a little under 1,000 square feet.
Do you know how big the commercial space is at the Waverly?
I do. I'm glad I checked that, Mr. Chairman. It's 2,250 square feet at the Waverly.
For just the commercial?
For the
not,
commercial.
Not including the lobby or anything else that's, would be adjacent or part of the residential?
It's just the commercial space occupied by
Milburn Deli? Okay, thank you.
2,250 is what the board approved.
Okay.
I can't tell you that's exactly what was built, but, and there's 11 apartments at the Westerly with a total of 33 parking spaces required. 27 were approved by the board. So the board granted a 6-space deficiency, parking deficiency variance for that building. Let's move on to some other items. By the way, you believe you're going to be providing adequate parking. If it turned out that there was a need for additional parking spaces because all of your tenants had 2 cars or more, would you be amenable to purchasing night permits to park in the Watchung parking lot, public parking lots?
Yes.
I assume you would want to provide parking if your tenants needed it. And-
Yes, correct.
Okay. And then moving on to some other issues not related to parking. How do you intend to handle snow removal?
Just with the size of the building, it's going to be pretty much covered for the most of the parking garage. It'll just be very little opened in the back. Again, any heavy snow days, I would remove it. But typically with a plow, we should be able to take care of it. But again, if we have really heavy snow conditions, I'll find a means to cart it away.
Take it off-site?
Correct.
If you-
Yeah, to take it off site.
Well, there are certain requirements, right, Mr.
Yes.
Tremblay? When that has to happen, right? There are statutes that require it, correct? Snow removal? No?
Not that I'm aware of. There could
Isn't
be.
there a snow removal ordinance?
No, we don't have a snow removal ordinance. We do require the applicants to have a snow removal plan.
Have snow removal plan,
Mm-hmm.
okay.
So the plan would be if there's excessive amounts of snow that can't be accommodated, just pushed onto the site, that you would haul the snow away to an off-site location.
Yes, correct.
Can you talk about what your plans are for handling trash and recycling?
So we have a testimony from Gator Recycling, and they service that area, and they will be able to accommodate us accordingly to, for the pizzeria bagel shop and obviously for the residential apartments. It will be private trash removal. So what they typically do is they come in, they have their crew members. Since the dumpster will be in the back, the garbage trash area, they're going to come and cart that away manually onto their trucking. They're gonna truck it outside the facility.
So the private hauler would actually take the garbage cans from the trash?
Yes.
The trash enclosure?
Correct.
And walk them out?
Yes.
To
Out.
the front of the building?
Yes.
And then load them there? So you
Correct.
wouldn't have a truck backing through
No.
the garage to pick up directly from the dumpster?
No.
Okay. And do you know how many times a week trash and recycling would be removed from the site?
I mean, typically in the town, it's twice a week. If needed, depending on the usage of the restaurant, if it needs to be more, we will address that. That's not going to be an issue.
You would just increase the frequency of the
Yes.
pickups, right?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Can you talk about how you expect that deliveries to the commercial space would be handled? You know, what types of vehicles where
Okay.
they would load
Right.
and unload?
So we'll just start off with this. So our first point is being in the pizzeria business. A lot of owners, even within my family, they do go to Restaurant Depot, places like that, and they pick up their goods, whatever they need daily on a daily basis. We put in a pickup truck, and that could drive easily into the facility, and loading would not be an issue because we'll have a loading area in the parking garage. Second, if we have any distributors come, they typically come in like a Sprinter van, something of that nature, something that's refrigerated typically. And we do have adequate space to pull to the side of the building to unload and load from there. We could do it early mornings or mid-mornings, late mornings, just to see how the traffic is in the area. But just visualizing and observing what's going on and watching, I think early mornings is the least disruptive to anybody.
And so you would be in a position to control the timing of the delivery?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Yes.
And when you say early mornings, what do you mean? What time?
You could do probably like 7 a.m. typically.
Okay, I assume you would want to do it at a time that would not inconvenience or disturb any of the residential
Absolutely.
tenants in your building or the neighbors on the street.
Yes.
Okay. And if there was parking spaces available directly in front of the building, would you anticipate that the delivery vehicles would park there while they're making their deliveries?
Yes.
Otherwise, they would pull into the driveway and
Correct.
in the lot if necessary.
Correct.
Okay.
And these deliveries typically take 15 minutes, 20 minutes. They're relatively quick. They're packaged. They take it off on a hand truck and they wheel it in and then they go. So it's not going to be too disruptive at all. It's a fairly quick process.
How many times a week would you anticipate a delivery truck would?
Yeah. Typically on average, it's 1 to 2 times per week.
Okay. What about residential tenants moving in and out of the building? How would that be accommodated? Where would those vehicles park and unload, et cetera?
From my experience, from being a landlord, typically any tenants, they typically use their own vehicles. I rarely ever see like a U-Haul truck come and take stuff in people's apartments. Typically people who rent apartments, they don't have much furniture. It's not an entire house. I've seen it several times where they just make several trips with their vehicles. And this is a rare occurrence. It's 7 units. If you average it out in a year, it's 7 times per year. And that's typically, a lot of people, they stay for a few years. So it's not I don't see it being an inconvenience to anybody if somebody's moving in or moving out. I don't see that happening on a monthly basis.
Is that something also that you might be able to control the timing of, what times, what days or what times and days that tenants?
Absolutely, yeah, sure. If anybody has any bulky items, I could coordinate timing with them and could assist if needed. Just to get things, if things become disruptive.
Okay. Because your intention would be, again, not to disrupt or inconvenience existing tenants in the building.
Absolutely.
Or other residential
Yes.
neighbors
Absolutely.
in the vicinity of the building. One last question, just to answer a comment in the engineer's report. Do you anticipate having any emergency generators on the site?
No.
That's all I have for Mr. DeSanti.
Questions from the board?
I have one question to start. When I visited the site, it seems that there are houses on both sides are residential properties. Were these recently changed to be commercial?
Ms. Willis, the house on the left is a commercial property. I believe it's 4 tenants that are in the back. It looks like a house, but it's not. So there's four tenants, commercial tenants. The house in the front is a 2-family. So that is a commercial, it's zoned commercial. The house on the right, I'm not sure if it's a 2-family or a single-family residence. But yeah, the zoning is, I don't think that hasn't changed for several years.
I was wondering, because when I was visiting, I found, it appeared that the houses across the street.
Are residential.
Yes, I visit the hardware store quite often, which is there. And there's a residential next to the hardware, there's residential directly across.
Yes.
And it seemed as though your property was between 2 residential properties, but you're saying that, and I know that the arrow, there was always a dance studio in the back. And
Correct.
there's an arrow that shows how to get to the dance studio.
Yes.
But the house, you're saying, is used commercially for something other than a home?
That I am not sure. I just, from what I see, I know it's just a 2-family.
Right, it's a 2-family
I believe
home.
somebody does conduct some kind of business in the front. But I'm not really sure. But that area is zoned commercial. I believe I'm the last lot that's zoned commercial. Then everything else is residential after my lot.
Okay. And just for the record, I was there and there was no parking. At the time that I visited, it was afternoon, and there was no parking on the street available at all.
It just typically, depending on the days, it's a hit or miss on Park Street. What I was referencing, what I was observing was only the westerly.
Okay.
Their private parking, their own parking garage is because what we're trying to mimic what they're doing, just to show the board the available spaces that are there at certain times of the days and of the week.
Thank you.
But also on Park Street, a little bit further down on the residential area, there is parking. It's just you have to walk a little bit. But it's not terrible.
Question for our planner and attorney. My usual question, are there any HPC implications, Historic Preservation Commission implications, should the home be reviewed based on the district that it's in?
This property is not in a historic district and has not been identified as a historic site, so
So there's no oversight for demolition from the HPC?
there is not.
Okay.
Other questions from the board? Oh, Counselor.
You testified that you would buy night permits, should they be necessary. How will you determine whether or not you have to buy those? What circumstances, in your mind, would give rise to you needing to buy overnight permits?
Well, I think in terms of if we need it, I would say depending on how busy this place is. If this is super busy, then I would consider on getting night permits. The residents who will occupy the apartments, if they do have multiple vehicles and the parking's not available, I would definitely consider getting night permits for them.
So if the residents banded together.
Mr. Chairman, is your microphone up?
If the residents came, they banded together and came to you and said, well, we all have 2 cars, so what are you going to do about that, landlord? Is that the kind of circumstance that you're talking about? Or is there some other circumstance that would give rise to that?
What I would do is observe once the place is opened and occupied and see if the parking lot is getting full and parking spots are not available. And then that I would consider speaking to the new tenants and seeing if they do require additional parking. And I can make recommendations, I can make accommodations for that.
Will the residents understand somehow that they might have that as an option?
Sure. Yes.
How would you impart that to your tenants?
I would tell them. If they needed additional parking, I can accommodate them.
Thank you.
Other questions from the board? Sure.
Did you want to go there? I'm a little confused here. As this application stands right now, what is the net increase on impervious coverage?
We have another witness that can answer that, but I believe it's 249 square feet.
Correct.
The board engineers confirmed that.
Because at the Development Review Committee, I believe that we had agreed that the foregoing of the two parking spaces in the rear would be accompanied by either land banking, and in addition to land banking, and I apologize, our committee's notes don't really reflect that discussion, which was in depth, that there would be some kind of detention facilities and not just grass or planted materials, because in fact the soil there is so impervious that it doesn't really make a huge difference. But if it is 204, it does not make sense that it would be 249.2. And I would also say, and this will sound a little cheeky, is that the limit to trigger a stormwater review is 250. And this feels to me a lot like the banking limits of $10,000 that you're allowed to take through the airport and taking 999,000. I mean, it's so close that it invites scrutiny of what you're doing, and that this lot is fully impervious, and we need to remediate that in some way, and having a little patch of grass doesn't really cut the mustard.
And just to respond to that, Councilor D'Amato, we didn't make any changes after the Development Review Committee, but my client, we've discussed this, he would be more than happy to eliminate those two spaces in the back, provide, pervious or whatever, and bank those spaces, so that they would be available for parking if needed in the future. But we would eliminate those two spaces if that's what the board would like.
And to clarify what the counselor and Alan are talking about with banking, it was a concept Janice had introduced where basically you prepare the location for the parking, but you don't actually build it. So that should they need to have those two parking spaces, the two compact spaces you see on the plan, should they need them at a later date, they can easily just run some asphalt over it. But you're not putting asphalt there to then just have them sit empty. You can have it graded and ready to go, but not put the asphalt, so that if you need the parking, it's available, easy to do, but you don't have to sit there with either unused asphalt or have to then remove asphalt once you determine the parking's excessive.
But
I was going to wait for my question until the engineer is testifying, I suppose,
Yeah.
right? Okay,
Yes.
maybe you could wait. Actually, just one quick question. Where can I find the calculations for, maybe this is a question for Roberto, where are the engineering calculations to calculate the existing area of impervious? And where can I find the calculations for what it's going to? People have talked about the difference, but where can I find a survey of that area?
With about a survey, but the calculations are shown on sheet 4 of the engineer's plans. The
Thank you.
grading and utility
Okay.
plan, there's a chart towards the bottom on the left side that shows existing and proposed.
Thank you.
And of course, the engineer will be able to provide additional information if necessary when he testifies. It's on SP4.
Yep, got it.
Are there more questions from the board? Mayor?
Please, I know you addressed this, but would you please explain again, perhaps in a little bit more detail, the plan for the loading, the unloading, for the deliveries that are coming to the store, in addition to the residents who may want to get a U-Haul or whatever? I'm really not understanding where the larger vehicles are going. I did hear you say
they'll probably get there to a meter before somebody else. I'm just trying to figure out what is the plan so that we don't have to have double parked trucks and things in the
course.
middle of the road for the delivery, and what is the plan when your residents wish to U-Haul something there, receive a Siemens couch or something? What is the plan?
So the driveway entrance, so with the restaurant, typically a Sprinter van is what would come from a distributor. And they could park on the one side of the driveway in which a vehicle can still go around it and get into the parking garage. That's the most logical sense of doing it. I am going to try to limit that to do it early morning deliveries for the restaurant so it doesn't disturb anybody. But as far as moving, I mean, that's going to be their way. If they do have a U-Haul truck, we would have to make a plan of getting things downstairs and put in quickly. So they're not there all day.
So the residents can use that too?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Where do delivery trucks go, and can they fit in that parking area, that garage, like a U-Haul? I'm not a U-Haul, a UPS truck. Was that?
The UPS truck probably, I'm not sure if it would be able to fit in the parking garage, but it will be able to pull up into the driveway, and they could unload, bring packages or whatever's needed.
Would it have to block the driveway, right? Would it block access?
It should not block access, no.
Okay.
You should be able to drive around it to get into the parking garage.
Okay.
I have a follow-up on Councilor D'Amato's question as modified by Jacob. The notion of banking parking spaces, how would that, if you know, since you're the one who came up with it, how would that be triggered? When would that have to occur, if at all, to use those two additional compact spaces as parking spaces?
I assume that in other communities, if there was a lack of parking on the site and a need for those additional spaces, and the township was made aware of it, the township would then instruct the applicant that they have to provide those additional on-site parking spaces. It's written into the resolution. So that would be the trigger.
So it would be in the resolution?
Yeah.
Okay. That's.
But if I may, you are asking for a couple of variances as well as some waivers, right? So, which is fine, that's great. Great project, whatever. But we are asking for things in return, and with the impervious coverage limit that you're pushing up to, right at that limit, I think a very reasonable, common sense, small ask is to agree to detain on site the equivalent amount of water that our ordinance calls for, which is 2 gallons of water per square foot of added impervious coverage, right? So if you went above 250, you'd be hit with 500 gallons. And since you are at 250, 500 gallons is a very, very low ask. It's a box that's 4 feet on a side that could go in where those, somewhere I know that the water will be drained to the stormwater sewers going to the front, to the street side. But to be able to detain 500 gallons of water or a little more is a real plus. We have flooding in the underpass on Park Street routinely. So,
I think it's a very good question that I think would be more properly answered by a professional engineer who will testify, and I'm sure he'll be happy to address that, Mr. Councilor D'Amato.
Any other questions from the board? Okay, members of the public.
I actually have one more.
Oh,
Thanks.
sure.
Sorry
Mr.
about that.
Borshaw.
Just regarding the driveway and the ability for cars to get around for loading and unloading, at its narrowest from coming off of Park Street on to the driveway, do you know the width of that? I think it was like 8.9 feet wide at its narrowest coming off of the main street.
don't know exactly.
I thought it was adjusted to 23.5.
The 23,
Wasn't it
so
adjusted?
further in, but not.
But not at the
Right.
But is
narrowest
it at, that's
point.
what I'm asking. Is
Oh,
it
that's a good
at
question.
actually where the
Right.
main street hits the beginning of the driveway and then it kind of opens up?
Yes.
And I'm just saying a UPS truck is on average 8 feet wide.
Right.
So it's probably worth noting that 0.9 feet is, I don't think, enough to get around. If it is, and I could be mistaken, and I'm just, but what is that width, do we know?
Good point.
Again, the engineer will be able to give you the
Sure.
precise, but it's shown as a two-way driveway coming into the street.
Yeah, I think once the engineer provides testimony, Dr. Borshoff, Mr. Borshoff, he could explain it to you better, because I can't really give you the indication.
You're looking at the survey of the current structure. That's where it comes to 8.9.
And then, okay, and then,
No, you're looking at what's there now.
understood.
Okay, but the new structure will have a double wide.
We'll
driveway.
have the double wide six, okay.
Correct, I just don't have the exact number yet,
Sure.
you know. once
But
they
and I
provide
also see
testimony,
even,
they'll
so
tell
it
you.
still kind of opens, I think, anyway, but thank you.
Appears to be 18 feet.
Okay.
Okay.
The planner's report mentions 18 feet.
18.
All right.
Thank you.
And I have just one last question. Would you be willing, there's a lot of like if-thens, if the residents request additional space or if required to do snow removal, would you be willing, based on like a contingent approval, to actually have those very specific thresholds in place, right? Like if it's heavy snow is a bit general for my,
I believe, Mr. Neese, this will be in the resolution. These contingencies, no?
No, they will,
No?
but
I think that's what I'm asking for.
but we want more
specifically.
specificity when it comes to like, what does heavy snow mean?
Is it 6 inches, 12 inches?
So, judging just from experience of being landlord and plowing parking lots, you have to have some really heavy snow to be able to get stuff out of there. I want to be able to clear spaces where people can park comfortably and not have to go through a bank of snow to get to their vehicle.
But-
That's something we're just going to have to
Can I ask-
gauge.
But what I'm asking is, would you be willing to put a specific number for like right? I mean, it's still if-then.
Yeah, I mean,
I just-
sure. Yeah, I mean, for me, I'm thinking of we get back-to-back snowstorms, a blizzard, things of that nature, that's going to require us to remove the snow.
What do we require of the other businesses in the area?
I don't think
I
there's
believe
not a
yeah.
general requirement.
No, I
There's
believe
not.
it's based on visual. I mean, if the snow is compounding, I mean, I think the landlord's responsibility is to get rid of it,
Is it generally that discretionary
Yeah, that's
across the board? I mean, when somebody submits a snow plan,
This is-
Removal.
It's a relatively new requirement.
Yeah.
So most of those businesses never
Don't
submitted
have
a snow
one.
removal
Yeah.
plan. I think we put it in place maybe 3 or 4 years ago.
okay, thank you.
Mr. Neiman?
Yeah, I was just going to say, I think a good workaround would be to make the snow removal plan contingent on the sign-off of our board engineer, and so long as he's comfortable with it, we're comfortable with it.
In terms of a numerical value?
Whatever
Or-
the board engineer feels is appropriate, they feel like the best person to say, like, this plan is sufficient. And so if he says a numerical value, so be it. If it's some other measure, all well and good, but
Suppose one could always calculate the volume of snow based on number of inches fallen and, whether that fits on the property. I mean, one thing that strikes me, if you all are proposing this, is getting rid of those 2 compact car spaces. Is that now a pervious surface that can be used for snow storage?
You said it before I was going to, but that was my next point.
Okay.
The-
For taking that.
No problem. Happy to have others join the party.
But again, that's to your point, Chairman. We don't have a lot of open area in the back. For us, plowing, I won't even need to plow. I think I could just use it with a shovel. We don't have that much to get rid of. But again, if it becomes a problem where we're blocking parking spaces, I'm going to get rid of it.
But I think that gets to a larger point, right? Because we're being asked for a pretty significant variance when it comes to the setback, right? So that's part of the reason why we don't have the ability to plow snow in the back, correct? So
There's a rear yard setback.
there's a rear setback.
Oh,
For the
yeah.
accessory
But-
structure of the dumpster.
For the dumpster,
Yeah.
Which is going to be further back because we are obligating so much parking. And so like the applicant had to balance, we've got one requirement saying you need to make the entire lot parking to build this project, but also saying you can't put your trash receptacle too close to the other person. And so in trying to meet both of those needs, right, like.
Right, but then we're also talking about maximizing, impervious surface rather than, trying to figure out what makes the most sense for the space that's available. So that's what I'm trying to get to, right?
Yeah, of course.
So it doesn't make sense really to have such a significant setback variance. That's all I'm trying to drive at.
Okay.
Agreed.
Right? It just seems like this is a very, again, we're seeing another project with that is really being squeezed into this space.
Agreed.
I don't think that's fair.
Mr. Tremblay, this is what we're trying to work out here, and we have differences of opinion. So,
We're talking about snow removal.
no, I know, but that it calls out that question of, we're saying we don't have space to put the snow,
Right.
but at the same time, we're saying we need, a very substantial setback variance. So those two things are not in congruity in my, they're not meshing for me.
The only thing I would say is part of the problem here legally is there's no standards anywhere that I'm aware of in any ordinances that the town currently has, particularly site plan ordinance, that dictates what's required for storm removal. And, there have been other applications that I'm very familiar with where we've had similar testimony from property owners that say, hey, if there's not enough heavy snow and there's not enough room for me to push the snow onto the site, I'm going to haul it away.
Right.
And I don't know whether the board, and that's what my clients agreed to. And also, by the way, he's got tenants in the building who's going to need to get their cars in and out, commercial and residential. So he's got a business reason to remove the snow so keep his tenants happy and able to park. So I think there's some regulation there, really. But if you want to define when this obligation kicks in, at what amount of snow, that's fine.
But I think your point was more to the rear yard setback that you were saying there. And if the plan perhaps was a different size and not
Scale.
needing to, put things in such a dense configuration, then there might be somewhere to push the snow.
Amongst other challenges,
Yeah.
including the number of parking spots. Yeah.
I confess to some
Mr. Neese.
confusion here, because on the one hand, I'm hearing that there might be the possibility of having those two compact spaces be banked, and on the other hand, if they could be used, that area could be used for snow storage in the event of a heavy snowfall.
But I'm not sure I'm comfortable with the idea of banking those spots, Mr. Neese. I'm trying to listen to everybody's opinions on this and, come to a conclusion. This is not something that I've made up, my own personal decision on. I assume maybe other members of the board have, but I have not. So I'm still trying to figure out what makes the most sense in my estimation for this
That's fair, and
application.
that's probably why I'm not getting a sense of.
I don't know that there's a
And
uniformity on this
this was
board
my
right
first
now.
time even hearing anything
Yeah.
about banking, and so I'm
Yeah.
learning a new thing tonight. Thank you, guys, and trying to process it. But I am also looking at a project, again, that seems to me that it's very heavy for this neighborhood, and just trying to think about something that may not require so much in terms of even what we're going to do with the water runoff and those types of things. It sounds, I'm just trying to get my hand around why we keep trying to put, a size 10 foot into a size 8 shoe.
Mr. Tremblay, in previous site plans, I have seen the applicants identify snow storage areas.
Mm-hmm.
It might help the discussion if on your site plan, you identify a snow storage area. Because I think you can do it.
Yeah, well, there's only a couple.
Let's say there's not a lot of room, but
Yeah.
I'm sure you can identify something.
Yeah.
I would point out that in the Development Review Committee, you had said that the banked area would be nicely landscaped. So that would not be a place that you could store snow unless you wanted to kill the bushes. It's the thing, like.
Other questions from the board? Okay, questions from the public for this witness. If you have questions, why don't we have people, I don't know how many people are gonna, how many people think we got several? So why don't you start a line over on this side or just come up one by one, but come up to the lectern, just make sure the green light's on the microphone. Give us your name and address and then ask the applicant any questions about his testimony that you'd like.
My name is Claire Ciliata. I live at 279 Park Street.
Can we just have that
Montclair.
one more time? Just now
My
it's on
name
the
is
mic.
Claire Ciliata. I live at 279 Park Street.
Thank you.
So my questions are, one, what is the definition of affordable apartment? How much is that?
I can answer that. That's a legally, it's a legally required affordable unit. When you say how much, it will be deed restricted so that it's affordable to somebody who makes no more than 50% of the area median income. It would be a low-income unit.
Okay. And on the parking, I need to understand why you would have 2 or 3 EV charging stations. Are you going to have a sign on the street saying that there's EV charging stations? Why would you need so many and give up a valuable parking? And just to make sure, no one knows that the Westerly has parking for us. No one knows that. I tell people all the time, there are spaces under the Westerly that we can park in. There's no sign. There's no sign that says public parking in the back. And every other one is numbered. You're not allowed to park in the numbered ones because that belongs, obviously, and should, to the tenants. So I want to understand why EV charging and give up 2 spots when you don't have a lot to start with.
We're not, well, I can answer that. We're not giving up any spaces. The EV charging stations are installed adjacent to parking spaces.
I'm sorry, help me out with this. It's a limited space?
It's not, no, it's a regular parking space that can be occupied by people parking or by someone who wants to use the charging station.
So there won't be any sign saying EV charging only the way there is in the Montclair lot? I just want to be clear about that, because usually EV charging, you can only park there if you're using it.
Our ordinance does not require, the state requires applications such as this to provide EV spaces, EV charging spaces. Neither the state nor the township require that those spaces be limited to only cars that are being charged. It's at the discretion of the property owner, in this case, how they want to manage their EV charging, which most likely would be provided for either their residential tenants, rental tenants, or somebody who's working there. They can charge during the day or overnight.
But could I go charge there?
If it's not, if it's a space that's designated for a tenant, then no.
Okay, so it's a little confusing to me.
And I think the engineer has put in his plans I'm looking at it now, a reserve parking EV only sign as part of his package. So maybe he can, when he gets up to testify, can provide some more information on that. I don't know if Mr. DeSanti has that. Probably, it doesn't look like he has that information, so maybe it's better directed to the engineer when he gets here.
And the other question I have is the setback for the trash. How close is that to the railroad track back there? How does that work?
If you can answer it, Mr. DeSanti, or I assume your architect or your engineer can
Yeah, I
probably
believe,
answer that.
wait for testimony
Or
from the
if
engineer.
Mr. Tremblay
Unless they have it
has
now,
it.
I can answer it.
You want me to wait for that?
So right now, it's questions about his testimony, which he didn't.
Oh, okay,
He didn't
I'm
testify
sorry.
about those, but I'm willing to let you ask the question. If he can answer it, go for it. But it may be better addressed by a couple of his professionals.
Sure.
That's the only point I'm trying to make.
Okay.
I think they're good questions, though.
Uh-huh.
So if he doesn't answer it right now, please come back up when his professionals are up.
Okay, I'll be happy to do that.
Okay,
That's
thank
the
you.
end of the-
Hi.
Hello, my My name's Donna Pickett. I live at 255 Park Street. Am I allowed to make statements?
No, not at this point.
Just
This is
questions?
only questions
Oh,
for.
'cause I got a lot of
this-
statements.
And we will have time for it. I'm not saying there won't be.
Okay, I live right there, so.
Sure.
And can I ask, do we ever say no? Can I ask the board questions at this time?
Well, it's
Or
not
just-
really, no, it's for the
Okay.
witnesses,
So
but
we don't-
the board
okay.
does deny applications.
So you're either going to have a bagel or pizzeria, which we don't need. What time are you going to operate that?
They're just typical normal business hours. You know, a typical bagel shop opens up, you know, around the neighborhood probably about 6 a.m., closes around 3 p.m. Pizzerias are typical around 11 a.m. open, closed probably around 9 o'clock.
And I know that's your business, but would you consider doing something else? We do not need that. And are you going to have outdoor seating?
Answer the outdoor seating.
Yeah, Yes, so we are going to have some outdoor seating, but it is a small place compared to the Millburn Deli. We're not even 1,000 square feet.
I can't make comments.
Not at this way. So once
Okay.
the applicant, so just the way the hearings go, and this is a quasi judicial proceeding, so we have to follow a specific approach. The applicant puts on their case, right? They have the applicant here, they hire professionals, the professionals provide testimony.
Okay.
We and the public are able to ask each professional questions. Once all of that is done, then we hear comment from the public. Anything you want to talk about with regard to the application, make statements, that'll come at the end of the hearing.
Okay, so you're not sure about the 9 o'clock for the pizzeria?
I mean, it's pretty much just going to be relative to any of the pizzerias in town.
And you're not sure about the outdoor seating? 'Cause you're
It's
in the-
going to be limited. It's not going to be,
Maybe
you know,
zero
fair.
would be good. What about the signage? And I don't know what the ordinance is, but what about neon lights signage?
Other witnesses can discuss the
Yeah.
signage plans?
Okay. And how many apartments did you say you were going to have?
7.
Would you be willing to lessen that? Would you be willing to not have a business and just do apartments?
I don't think zoning would allow it, actually, because
Or would you
It's just
just, would you
residential.
keep it like a neighborhood and have a two-family?
It's,
I mean,
I know, I
he
understand.
testified that his plan, and I'm questioning the plan and asking him if he would do a two-family and not a business.
currently is a two-family house there.
Right. But I'm
the-
asking the
plan
question.
is- I don't mean to interrupt, but I'm objecting. The plan is the plan that's before the board. This is the plan we would like to do, which is permitted in the
I know.
zoning.
And we don't have to say yes to
No, you
everything.
don't have to say yes.
Right? We can deny. Because I strongly
If there's a legal basis
oppose-
to deny,
yeah.
yes.
Legal basis.
Okay.
Yeah,
And
right.
I
So that's-
I just urge you, please do not let
Well,
this
this
project go.
this is for
Okay, I'm
questions,
done.
right?
Yeah.
And there will be a
I'm
time
done.
where you can make that statement, and it's
Yeah.
fine. And
Yeah.
but yeah,
I'm done.
just so you know,
Yeah.
we have legal standards we have to adhere to. It's not whether we like the project or not. It's does it meet the
Yeah.
legal standard for relief? And you'll hear testimony, I believe, from Mr. Stimmel, who's their planner, who will talk about why he believes that this can be granted by the board legally. But that's probably the last witness
Yeah.
they'll put on.
Okay, those were my questions, but I have lots of comments, and then I can ask questions of the board later, but not now.
Usually you can't ask questions to the board.
Okay. Well, how do I ask those questions to the board if I can't ask them here?
You could ask Ms. Talley, not during the hearing, but if you had questions, you could probably send an email to Ms. Talley.
Well, I can't tell you why the board makes the decisions that they decide, or why they think a certain way, but I can talk to you about the process.
Okay. And
It
statistics?
is a semi-legal, quasi-judicial
Yeah.
process.
Okay, so Ms. Talley, okay. I think that's it for now.
Okay. Are there other members of the public that?
Victor Weingast. I live at 268 Park Street. I do have a couple of questions about parking, which confuse me. I'm not sure, are 14 spaces going to be under the building?
I believe yes, it's 16 spaces. They'll be under the building.
16 spaces under the building, and the 2 in back would be possibly making it to 18. Is that right?
You may need to explain how I know that you got into some of this testimony. I assume your engineer, your architect will explain a little bit more about the EV credits.
Yes,
but
Chairman,
if
yeah.
you could just try to maybe address that one more time.
Answer that.
Yeah, we're going to have, it's all 18. No, right? We have 18.
Let's start with how many physical spaces will you have there?
There's 16 physical spaces
Under the building.
under the building.
And you're saying that you're providing 18 spaces,
Because
correct?
of the 2 EV stations, we get credit for 2 spaces.
Because of the EV stations, you get credit for the spaces, is what
So
you're
it's
saying.
as if we were providing 18, we get credit for 18 because of the EV stations.
And is that state law? I'll get to you in just a second. Is
I
that,
think there's a little misunderstanding of the numbers here.
okay.
Yeah, so there's 20 required minus 2 for the EV credits. You have 16 on the plan total. 11 of them fall under the building.
Physically under the building.
Yeah, physically under the
Physically.
building.
I
But
believe
it's
once
all on the
once
first
you see
floor.
testimony from the architect and you
Okay.
can see
It
the
just-
physical
the-
plan.
The numbers
you'll
are
be
all
able to
over
see
the place,
everything.
because every apartment says needs 2 parking spaces, but only 1 may be assigned, and there'll be 6 for commercial. There is as somebody just mentioned, there's no signage on the street for the westerly saying public parking in here. And
Mr. Wankus, I think this would be helpful if once the architect
it.
presents
I'm
the
going on
plans,
to
you'll be
another
able to
question.
see what
I
they're
got it.
talking about.
My other concern is, you talk about a private car coming twice a week. I don't know what time they're planning on coming, but if there's a garbage truck parked in the middle of the street, while somebody walks to the back, physically, manually takes the container out to the truck is going to be there for 15 minutes. And unless you're, saying you're absolutely going to block off spaces in front to give space for the carter to come in every time he comes, you're going to be holding up traffic at a very, very busy place.
Is that the question? Will they be
The
holding up
question
traffic?
is, how are you going to accommodate a garbage truck being out there for 15 minutes, essentially double parked?
It won't be double parked because it's going to be really early in the morning and they're going to pull into the facility. So we're not going to interrupt
They
any
will
traffic.
pull into the facility?
Yes.
A garbage truck?
Yes, because we have drive. Once you see the drawings, it'll all make sense to you.
I hope it's true. Thank you. It's for me.
Of course.
Inside the building.
Hi, I'm Jimmy Justina, 296 Park Street. So I have some questions on one of the, I guess, waivers you have to give is to the garbage, as you described. What's directly behind? Is it the railroad tracks or is it Bruce Street that's back there?
It's a railroad track. There's not a street there.
It's a residential property, I think, that borders the back.
There's this is shown right on the plans, there's a triangular piece of property that belongs to a property that's on Bruce Street.
Bruce Street. So it's
Way
a
in the
house.
back of that property, it's a small triangular piece, and then behind that triangular piece is the railroad.
Okay. And you said that 20 spaces are required. What are you giving up to, if you conform to the 20 spaces? Is it the footprint of the building smaller and you lose some apartments? Like, why don't you just do what's required under the ordinance? You must be giving something up if you do that.
With the EV credit, we go down to 18. Our variance is for two parking spots. It's a minor variance, and considering with the additional affordable housing unit, I think it's a considerable
It's minor in your
build.
view, but ordinances are on the books for a reason. Just like you have the right to do something on your commercial property, there are ordinances to protect the neighborhood. So I don't think these guys are in business to enrich you. I think they're, as you said, follow the law. So what would you give up if you did the 20 spaces as required under the law? Footprint size?
Reasonable answer.
No, I'm going to answer it. I don't.
We'd probably
Okay, I
have-
think that's a
I can't
question you
answer.
should ask, because maybe it's only 5 apartments, right? So I hope you ask that. Regarding night parking permits, I know somebody on the list for 7 years trying to get one. So, you know, they make it sound like it's readily available. I would investigate that if I were you, right? I don't know for sure, but you
I'll
should-
try and help. So this is time for questions. So is the question, have you investigated that? Is that your question to the applicant?
Yeah, have you investigated that?
Thank you.
He hasn't, but I have.
You have, okay.
Yeah, are they available?
But night permits are readily available.
For Watchung Plaza?
Yes, and almost all of the public.
I hope somebody double checks that.
Day
Okay.
permits have long waits.
And
Day permits
Day
have a
permits
long
do
wait.
have very long waits right now.
Okay. Thanks for that. And then you talked a lot about the delivery in terms of your supplies you're going to need, right? But what about your delivery guy? So you're in the business in other locations. How many deliveries a night does your guy do? And how many times, roughly, does Uber Eats show up or DoorDash?
Yeah, I mean, typically on a Friday, Saturday night, you know, you're going to have a good amount, but again, we're going to pull into the property. It's not going to be an inconvenience to the neighborhood.
Okay.
Because the vehicles are tiny. They're going to be minis. You know,
Okay.
they're not going to be disruptive, and we're going to pull into our own parking garage and pull out.
Okay. I don't know that goes on at Watchung Deli, but, okay. And then you said there's 6 spaces for the pizzeria. Is that for the employees or for the customers, or if not, where do the employees park?
It's for both.
Okay. And then regarding, I thought I heard 3 EV spaces, right? And there's some kind of formula you mentioned that you get credit for. And as the other lady said, for 7 apartments, 3 EV seems a lot. So is it like you're gaming a formula to pick up spaces somehow, to have that many EVs?
Actually, we only get credit for 2, so the third one is, you know, we could eliminate that and you'd still have the same parking variance.
Okay, so EVs are required, as seem to have said by the state law or whatever, so that's why you're
State
having...
requires it, and to encourage, and the trade-off there is that they give you credit against parking
Okay.
by providing the stations.
Okay, thanks for that clarification. And I guess there was a picture up in terms of a setback, is that more for the architect? Because it seemed in the picture that was up, the setback matched the houses, whereas the rest of Watchung Plaza, the building's closer to the street, and if that were the case, maybe that solves your parking situation. But I don't know if
Yeah, since he didn't testify to what was on the screen,
Okay.
it's probably
So
for
we'll
the
save
architect to.
question. Save the question.
I think so, because he
Okay.
didn't reference the exhibit, nor do I think we even marked it, because we haven't gotten there yet.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions for this witness? Yes, come on up. Sure, yeah. No one else raised their hand, so yes.
Hi, I'm Diane Moore Weingast at 268 Park Street. Weingast, Moore Weingast, I'm sorry. 268 Park Street. And, listen.
Yes.
Hi. I'm sorry, what's your first
My name is Gino.
name? Gina.
It's for short. It's short for Eugenio.
You remind me of my grandson, so nice to meet you.
Same here.
Let me ask you a question. If you didn't have, you have like a pizza business, right?
Correct.
If you know, like a pizza business in Manhattan doesn't need parking, it's on the street, walk traffic goes. If you didn't have any cars coming to your business, would you still want to open that kind of business if it was just the street traffic you get there?
Yeah, I mean, the whole intent of opening up the pizzeria is for, for the neighborhood, number one. And number two was, really since we're close to the train station, people coming home, grabbing a slice of pizza or something on their way home.
Yeah, let me help you out there. Since the pandemic, there's very little train traffic and there's no bus stop there anymore. So there's no traffic for pedestrians coming off of there. Sure, plenty of residents come. But do you know how many parking spaces there are from the corner to your building where you'd like to put it? 3? Oh, is it 4, 3 or 4?
I would say roughly, I say roughly probably about 4, maybe 4 or 5,
4
from
or
the
5.
corner Watchung to my
Yeah, to the corner,
property.
because there's the piece of Watchung at the corner
Yeah.
is backed up now because they made the nice crosswalk with the lights. So we're just getting used to a new light system
Right.
there. And
I know I have 2 in the front myself right now, currently.
when you say you have 2, isn't that a public, don't we have public parking on the street?
Yes, yes, I
Are those
believe
meters
there's.
anybody can go? So what do you
Well,
mean you
no,
have?
no, well, in front of 260, you can park there, that's public parking, but I
Yes.
have 2 spaces there that are available in front of my property.
I'm so sorry, I'm not following this.
But it's not metered.
Not metered,
No.
just, parking for the next 2 hours from
Yes,
here to there.
correct.
That's fine, but anybody can park there. Those are not yours.
Right.
Okay, just want to, I clarify, because if we have 4 spaces, if we have 1, 2, 3, 4 meters, and then we have some spaces, there might be even 6 or 8 spaces up to maybe 266, maybe? I don't know. But that, do you know that? No, you don't know that.
I don't.
Okay, would you consider, I invite you, spend Saturday with me at Watchung Plaza for the day. We'll hang out at the Bonjour Montclair. We'll walk around, we'll talk to the residents. You'll see action on a Saturday. You want to see this, because let me say one thing. This is not a question. There's no place for people. Well, can you provide drop-off spaces where someone comes in, 10 minutes, you're out, 5 minutes out? The sign says drop-off pickup space only. If you had some of those, but there's, that gets taken up by.
I understand your question, but I think because of the traffic pattern and our traffic analysis that we're doing, I don't know if that would be feasible. But I understand what you're saying.
Do you have a traffic analysis coming?
No.
Oh, wait a minute. Did you just say when we have our, I misheard you.
No, just commenting to the board with the parking spaces and the amount of traffic, just our overall analysis of it.
That's a very, forgive me, it's not really an exact kind of thing. It's your analysis, What we really I would really like, by the way, Gino.
Yeah.
I would really like if we really knew better. So would you be willing to, if not stay there for a couple of days, 12-hour shifts, 1 day a week?
I'm
one
there all the
Saturday?
time. I know.
No,
You tell
you're
me.
gonna
Watch
sit-
on
no, we're
Plaza.
gonna
I'm there
s-
on Saturdays. I
Good.
see it.
Well, we'll sit with you.
I'm
We'll
very
sit with
familiar.
you on the weekdays.
Yeah.
That's
I'm-
good.
I'm always in Montclair. This is my place.
That's great. Where are you parking?
Oh, I
Underneath,
park at my house.
Right, but now if you build this building, if for some reason, you're going to just park underneath your building? in
Yeah,
front.
it's going to be private. Yeah, it's
Do
going to
you
be for
think-
the.
Do you think drop-off
tenants.
spaces would be helpful?
Oh, I think public drop-off spaces.
Yeah, that's,
are
we're only
helpful.
talking about the street.
Yeah, I mean, but that's something for, doesn't really apply to my application.
Oh,
Excuse
I-
me, with all due
Okay.
respect, I don't,
And with all due respect back, I just want to say this. My understanding is that even if you didn't need any approval for variances or anything else, my understanding is that if the board does not like the project, site application project, for whatever their reasons may be, that's not a fait accompli. That's not a foregone conclusion. It just doesn't mean you can't, because you don't need a variance, means you can just do it.
Well,
This is
we
for
might
later.
disagree on that. That's a legal issue.
That's not what I was told by the building department, but okay. That can always, you can tell me when you,
Just so I understand what you're asking, you're suggesting that even though we meet all the requirements, that the board can simply say we don't like it and not approve the application?
that, my understanding is that if there's such an impact, an adverse impact on a location, and I hope you'll, oh, you're correct. So anyway, you'll have to, and do you have any other houses in Montclair?
yes.
You're a resident?
No, I'm not a resident, but I am a landlord.
You have other homes, investment properties?
Yes.
is it all right for me to ask how many you have?
Sure.
How many do you have? You want to meet my daughter?
I'm not sure that's
All
part
right,
of the
now we're gonna do
application.
drop-off spaces.
Withdraw your opposition.
You can address the answer to that to Ms. Talley. Yes.
Guess that was a question, but thank you for listening to the instructions.
Okay, so I just.
That's fine. I have 4.
For what?
I have. I have 4 space. I have 4 homes
4 homes.
in Montclair. Yes.
And may I ask, where do you live?
I live in Totowa.
Oh, you're nearby.
Yes.
Okay. Let me just get to my last questions because the rest is, I think, other things to say. Questions. If you put in, oh, so are you saying that deliveries would only be like before, 6, 7 in the morning, 6, and after like dinner time or after kids are off the buses and after, the whole action dies down?
Yeah, absolutely. So
'Cause-
I want to keep, just to answer your question, I want to, keep this as less evasive as possible for people. I don't want to be disruptive to the neighborhood.
Well, that's a good idea, because nobody's going to want to come to, what I'm trying to ask you is, you're going to want to be in business, you want to make money, right?
Well, of course, that's
That's the
point.
purpose.
That's the purpose.
Yeah, so you want to make sure people can get to you.
Oh, 100%.
And I'm concerned, very concerned, if I'm a professional real estate broker, that's my business. If you're a commercial prospective tenant for me, and I take you there, and you ask me if there's anything I should know that you don't think I should be there, I would, if I knew the area like a broker's supposed to, that's why I'm asking you to spend more time there, and I mean ongoing time. You would see that the almost impossibility of what it is you're trying to accomplish. You want people to come to that spot over and over and over. I want a slice, I want a pie, I want this, I want that. They're making appointments, people are picking up. All of this, you want that kind of action. That's not the size business that can exist there. I understand now that we have another application and for, across the street for, so this, and the lights are a new system, we're all getting used to that. There's a lot going on, but anyway, would you be willing to have videos made of 2 12-hour periods, one day during the week, on all day Saturday? Would you do that?
Videos of what? And for what
Videos
purpose?
of the entire area. You can see it. There are 5 feeding avenues coming into that location. And now
what's the purpose?
6.
To analyze traffic conditions?
Analyze whether anyone can possibly stop there if they want to.
I don't,
That's all. In other words, videos of how the street is parked right now. You do come and go, but you're coming and going as a visitor, possible businessman, you have investment property, you're in business. So you're coming to look at your stuff. That's one thing. People are coming in there all from these 5 different directions. We want, I'd like a nice.
You asked the question, let him answer.
No.
Oh, what did I ask?
That's the
You need
question,
2 videos. Would you be willing to have those made?
I think having the 2 videos, I think everybody knows Watchung Plaza is a very busy place. And it's, for me, I'm here for the application with all due respect, that I'm zoned to do what I propose.
I checked that out, that I realized that you're zoned
And I'm
for
trying to
that.
do it in a professional, organized way.
I understand.
I think it's pretty reasonable.
And I think you're very well-intentioned.
Thank you.
I honestly believe that. I see no reason not to. It's just.
Do you have another question for
I have
him?
more, when.
I know
will-
you have more statements, but
when
do you have
will
more questions?
The architect's plans, the parking plans. all
Coming
those are
now.
They're coming now?
Just got to get me off the
All right,
table so they can start.
Let me go.
Anyone else from the public wish to ask this witness questions?
My name is Sean Wang. I live on 272 Park Street, 5 houses down, 260 Park Street. I want to W-A-N-G, Wang. Yeah, I just have a quick question to the applicant. You talk about us getting night permits, because I assume it's because you're asking for a variance of two less parking lot than what's required. Have you considered getting day permits for your tenants as well, because you need the space for the tenants to park during the daytime as well? And have you looked into the feasibility of getting the day permits?
They're not available unless you want to wait about 7 years,
Okay,
according
so-
to the parking.
So are you considering
authority.
getting that and wait for 7 years?
I guess we would consider them if there was a need and if they became available in 7 years or so.
Thank you for the answer.
Any other questions for this witness from the public? All right, I see none. I assume you're going to call your architect next?
Yes.
Let's take a 10-minute break before you do that.
Sure.
Thanks.
taxes delta. So I could, like, and I told him, like, you go, I'll catch up with you later, I'll just fly, stand by, and just, I'll get there. But on the way back, I can't leave her in the lurch with, like, I gotta book something.
All right, everyone, thank you. So, Mr. Tremblak, whenever you finish up.
Nice to have you back, Mark.
Okay, you ready?
Yes.
Okay, our next witness is.
And we're back on the record.
Gregory Switzer.
Sir, do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Would you please state your full name and business affiliation for the record?
Sure. My name is Gregory Switzer. I am an architect and principal manager of Gregory Switzer Architecture. For the purposes of this conversation, we can use GSAPC. And we are a multidisciplinary architectural firm located here in Montclair. I am now within my first year of joining with Sionis Architecture, and we are really excited about this project and look forward to discussing the details.
Okay. Before we do that.
Sorry. If I could just ask you to move that microphone just a little bit closer.
How was that? Okay.
Before you go in to discuss the plans, Greg, would you just, since your first appearance before this board, presumably the first of many to come, would you provide the board with your educational background and your professional qualifications as an architect?
Oh, wow. Okay. I am a professional registered licensed architect in the state of New Jersey and New York and 15 other states. I have a undergraduate degree in architecture from Pratt Institute. I have a bachelor's degree of interior design from Louisiana State University, and I attended various other universities for additional supplemental credits and certifications throughout the years.
Okay. When were you licensed in the state of New Jersey and the state of New York?
That would be in 1999.
For New Jersey?
Around 2000.
Okay. Okay. And is your license in good standing?
Yes, continuously.
Okay. Same thing in New York?
Yes,
Okay.
in all states.
Okay. Mr. Chairman, I offer him as an expert in the field of architecture.
Have you testified for other boards in New Jersey?
I have not, no.
New York?
No. It's typically, with building projects, they go a little different route for the approvals process. So not had to go for any additional variant or requests or requirements with BSA or the zoning board or planning board or historic preservation commission with New York City work now.
We'll accept you to your first hearing.
Okay.
First for
There you go.
everyone. Thank you. All right. All right, Greg, your office, under your supervision, correct me if I'm wrong, prepared the architectural plans?
Yes.
For the property? Okay. And you're prepared to review those plans with the board this evening?
I am.
Okay, and your office, following the procedure that your predecessor, Mr. Sona, established, has prepared a PowerPoint to assist in presenting the plans to the board this evening, is that correct?
That is correct.
And have you bought copies to hand out to the board?
I did and have done so already.
Oh, okay, so we want to mark that, Janice?
Yeah, I've marked that as A14.
Okay. Then, would you then take the board through the plans, review the plans for the board, utilizing the PowerPoint and whatever else you'd like to?
Sure.
present?
Paul, would you mind advancing it to the next slide, please? Okay. The site comprises of approximately 12,366 square feet with a lot depth of 250 feet and frontage along Park Street. It is situated within the neighborhood commercial zone and lies within Watchung Plaza Station area, as defined in the Unified Land Use and Circulation Plan. Particularly, that plan anticipated development on this site and clearly stated that the lots at the northwest corner of the intersection of Park Street and Watchung Avenue are extremely deep. These lots could support additional development with additional parking provided between the buildings and the railroad line. This excerpt is from the Unified Land Use and Circulation Plan, and it's from page 170. The project site is just north of Watchung Plaza and surrounded by commercial and mixed uses on both sides and across the street. Immediate neighbors include Lot 17 at the north, which is a 2.5-story single-family residence. Lot 19 to the south, a 2-story dwelling with a large 2-story commercial building in the rear yard. Lot 20 to the south of that property, a 3-story mixed-use building with a retail base and apartments above. This building is also known as the Westerly and was also designed by Cyanus Architecture. Lot 21 to the south is a mixed-use commercial building with broad mix of uses for the first floor and has apartments above. The elevated railroad tracks are directly to the west, separated by a small wedge of property, and that is Lot 62 at the rear. Across the street and to the southwest, a 2-story building and a parking lot with the American Royal Hardware Store on the first floor and offices on the second floor. And at the corner, a Gulf gasoline station and service center at the southwest corner of Park Street and Watchung Avenue. Directly across the street from the site on Park Street is a 2.5 single-story family residence. Slide 2, please.
Do you know who owns Lot 62?
I do not.
Do you know if it's associated with Lot 61?
I do not.
Okay.
Yeah. All right, this illustration is provided just to offer additional context to the western elevation of Park Street. Graphically, we've overlaid the boundaries of the Watchung Plaza Historic District and the neighborhood commercial zone, accurately positioning the subject property to scale within the surrounding context and adjacent properties. This visual analysis establishes a clear relationship between the site and its urban framework, which is further elaborated on the following 2 slides. Of this slide is the tax map, and the lot is clearly indicated with a red box around it and a dot. The second map on the opposite side is a zoning map of the area, and it shows that the properties along the west side of Park Avenue, or Park Street, my apologies, remain within the neighborhood commercial zone, making the transition between the commercial quarter and the adjoining residential context, which is zoned as an R2 area. That's the area that's in orange, the R2 area. And the NC zone is the pink area that you see highlighted there. Slide 4, please. Similarly, this map illustrates the boundaries of the Watchung Historic District. The graphic clearly shows that the property is situated outside the district boundaries, providing an important context to its relationship to the surrounding historic area. The next slide, please. Okay, this is an image captured from Google Earth, and it's presented to offer an actual street view image of the proposed project site and to show the properties just to the north and the south of it. You can see the single-family residence at the north side. Just behind the tree is the multifamily building in the front of the property with the commercial properties in the back that I spoke about previously. And then just south of that is the westerly building. Unfortunately, in every view that I was able to get, even by taking photographs myself, the trees were blocking view to where you can see continuity along there. So I hope that this is somewhat helpful to you. Slide 5, please. Okay. This slide is presented to offer an actual street view and image of the sites. And let me just It shows a series of images to provide clear visual representation to the project site and its surrounding context. The property identified as Lot 18 contains a 2.5-story multifamily residence and a detached masonry 2-car garage. Both existing structures are proposed to be demolished to accommodate the construction of the new building. So for members of the board, you have copies of this in front of you, so hopefully you'll be able to see the images a lot clearer than what's shown here on the slides. What's also illustrated in this are the adjacent properties that are directly abut the property site, or the project site. Of particular note is a commercial building located in the rear of the multifamily dwelling on Lot 9, which accommodates a mix of neighborhood-serving businesses, including a salon, a dance studio, and a fitness training facility. Okay. And now to our proposed project. The next slide, please. This slide presents both the front east and rear west elevations of the proposed structure. The front elevation is defined by a sweeping archway above the paved entry leading to the parked area beneath the building. It features a standing seam metal awning supported by timber from the front around to the rear, with transitions to stucco or cement fiber panel cladding at the third level. Unlike the front, the rear balcony projects outward and extends over the driveway below. Next slide, please. The south elevation is largely open at the first floor level. The south elevation is largely open at the first floor level to accommodate the parking area and follows the same rhythm and material palette as the north and west elevations. It includes one balcony and a landscape perimeter designed to screen parked vehicles from the neighboring property to the south. The north elevation faces a single-family residence on Lot 17, just north to the project site. Here, the building features brickwork across the first 3 floors for approximately 55 to 60 linear feet from east to west before opening to the parking area below. The design includes a continuous masonry band at the second floor and stucco or cement fiberboard panel cladding at the third floor level. A landscape buffer with varied plantings will screen the parking area while retaining the existing wood fence that separates the two properties. This elevation includes 3 balconies, 2 on the second floor and 1 on the third, as well as a main residential entry which is located within the 3-story masonry section of the building. A standing seam metal awning supported by timber and steel frame is also positioned above the lobby doors or the entry doors into the residential portion of the building. Next slide, please. So this slide is an excerpt from our drawings, and it shows that the proposed signage plan fully complies with the neighborhood commercial zone requirements and will remain a simple, coordinated appearance consistent with the surrounding areas. There's only one physical projected sign mounted at least 8 feet above the sidewalk proposed, and lettering on the awning located on the east facade. The awning sign will feature letters no taller than 6 inches. Our plan also includes street numbers, directories, tenant and building identification, corner markers, and we'll use durable materials such as aluminum, vinyl, and cast stone. Most signs will be unlit with only the projecting sign externally illuminated. The proposal meets all zoning standards, requires no variances, and provides a clear and well-scaled identification that complements the building and the neighborhood. Next slide, please. So what we're proposing is the construction of a new 3-story, 35-foot-high mixed-use building. This plan illustrates the overall building footprint on the lot, indicated here by orange and shading. The red arrows located at the top of the plan indicate the point of entry into the building for residential tenants, and the arrow to the right of the plan, pointing westward, is the point of entry for the retail space. At the rear of the property, The area between parking spaces 2 and 3 contain the proposed refuge storage structure, which will be a 6-foot-tall concrete block wall, cast stone top, and metal trash enclosure, which we're seeking a variance due to its proximity to the rear property line. A total of 16 parking spaces is provided, including 3 electric vehicle charging stations, one of which will also serve as an ADA accessible / van parking space. Details regarding the parking layout, signage, and maneuverability will be addressed by the project civil engineer during his testimony later this evening. The plan also highlights the extent of proposed landscaping throughout the site, which includes the removal of 4 existing trees and supplemented with new plantings to include 50 new cedar trees and additional native ornamental plantings. All selected planting materials are native to Essex County, New Jersey, ensuring compatibility with the local environment and long-term sustainability. Next slide, please. Slide 11 is presented to illustrate the 978 square foot ground floor retail space and the extent of the building common tenant spaces, stair and residential lobby, and elevator area that is provided to access the cellar, 2nd, and 3rd floors, making this building ADA accessible throughout.
Can I stop it there for a second for a quick
Please.
question on this slide? You said cellar. You mean the first floor, right?
First floor.
Okay, so
Yeah.
that, there's no basement below.
There is a basement, yes.
Oh, there is a basement?
Yes.
Okay, we didn't see that yet, but that begs another question. So when you park in the garage,
Mhm.
there's no way to get to the elevator unless you walk all the way around the building to get outside. So it seems like if you go in that garage, you'd want a door that takes you right to the lobby. But it looks like you go into a stairwell from the garage.
Yes.
Well, that's odd.
I'm sorry, what is your question?
If you park, you live there, you park in the
Yeah.
garage,
You can walk
normally
around.
you would want to walk, oh, you can go outside there?
Of course. This whole area here.
Never mind. I thought
is
that was all
open
enclosed.
space. Yeah, yeah.
So you walk around it.
Sure. You can walk around this way, or you can walk around this way.
Sorry, where's the building edge then?
The building edge is the orange shading in the plan that you have there.
Got it, okay.
So
But I
it's
think
not
either-
built to the extent of the property line, it's set back quite a bit.
So that, oh, so then where do the cars stick out underneath
The
the
cars do
building?
stick out somewhat, yes, along here, of which, yes.
All right, so you have again, the building line is lined up, okay. That's the parking limit right there. What is that?
Yes, you see the parking spaces along with the landscaping and everything else that is there.
All right, so when the cars park on the right-hand side, the nose of their car is outside the building.
When you say
If you're
park
looking at it.
on the right side.
Well, you pull in, you park to the right, you drive right.
You
Where,
come in here.
can you go back to the other slide? Okay, that column line that lines up with the edge of the restaurant, that's kind of the edge of the, no, I'm sorry, on the north side of the retail. That's the building, the edge of the building, no, that's the property line right there.
The property line is
Yeah,
out
where,
here.
okay, where's the edge of the building again, above the
The
parking?
edge of the building is here.
Okay, so that can't fit a parking, the cars are gonna like be half underground, half outside, right, when they park in those spaces?
Partly, yes, but this is also landscaped and a walkway here that takes you to the building entrance and the landscaped area here
Are
as
there,
well.
so when you go to that elevator, do you have to squeeze by a car, or is there a walking space there? Are there 2 parking spaces right next to that elevator lobby to the?
No,
what?
here is the van accessible ADA parking.
Okay.
And the area closest to the building is not occupied by vehicle. This is free space.
So there's a clear space there, okay, thanks.
Absolutely.
All right.
Hopefully that answers. That's what you needed? Okay. Perfect. Okay, so we can go to the next slide, please.
Sorry, before you go to the
Yes.
second floor, just out of curiosity, is there a reason you didn't, or would it be possible to, incorporate a small trash room in the first floor of the structure? It's not going to be much more than 100-ish square feet, and it would eliminate the rear setback variance.
Pardon? So that's a good question, and we didn't consider that. The owner suggested that the reason why we stuck to where we placed it was to make sure that if there's any odorous debris, that it wouldn't engulf the building. So he did it for the purposes of odors and
Okay.
smell, containing that, and keeping that away from the residential and the retail space.
Which makes total sense, and I'm not an architect or a smell expert, but like, I could, I could even see having it just be accessible from the exterior of the building, just like a small door right on that driveway, if throwing it out there, again, not a smell or architect, smell expert or architect.
I think we've seen other applications
Yeah.
with restaurants where they've had interior
Yes.
trash enclosures to address a number of issues, and including accessibility for pickup. So, it's just something to think about.
Okay, we can certainly consider that. You know, there are also other issues in doing that, for particularly pest control, and, you know, there are other reasons perhaps why one wouldn't put it in the building.
Certainly.
But we can certainly look at that and, yeah. That's why it's self-contained, concrete block, metal roof, and everything, and containers with lids on top, inside the storage compartment. Okay.
Did you consider a plan that, 'cause it's a little odd to have the front door of the building way back on the side. It's not like close to the street, it's pretty far back from the street. It's just not, you don't see that too often. Did you consider a plan where the front door of the apartments is right in the front?
Well, I think in order to accommodate the visibility for the retail space, and being that
I
this
get
width of that is
Yeah, I get
very
that.
narrow.
So it's either retail or you put the thing on the side?
Exactly, and it would have been odd to place the retail space behind the building lobby, for example. It just wouldn't be
So it's not
visible.
wide enough to put the front door in the front?
Right.
It's worth pointing out, I think, that it's not wide enough because they have a double-wide driveway. And the double-wide driveway is obviously safer, and there's a lot of upsides to it. But like, there's space on the lot. It's just we set aside half of it to cars.
Well, I don't think a single-wide driveway is even an option.
I don't necessarily disagree, but part of that is the parking requirements.
Shall I move forward? Okay. Could we advance to the next slide, please? Perfect. So this slide illustrates the second floor plan, which consists of 3.5 dwelling units, whereby the first, or Unit 1, is a 2-bedroom with a den and 2 full bathrooms, totaling 1,390 square feet. Unit 2 is a 2-bedroom with a den and full two bathrooms, totaling 1,270 square feet. Unit 3 is a 2-bedroom with a den and 2 full bathrooms, totaling 1,246 square feet. And Unit 4 is part of a duplex. It's a 3-bedroom unit with a den and 3 baths, totaling 1,390 square feet. The bedrooms in this case would be located on the 3rd floor. I'd also like to note that each tenant floor has the required tenant storage rooms and common storage areas as required by municipal ordinance number 281-8.4. Next slide, please. Unit 5 is a 2-bedroom with a den and 2 full bathrooms, totaling 1,390 square feet. Unit 6 is a 2-bedroom with a den with 2 full bathrooms, totaling 1,270 square feet. And Unit 7 is a 3-bedroom and 2 full bathroom apartment unit, approximately 1,425 square feet. Next slide, please. So to close, I just wanted to say that there are some other features with this building. The front section of the building facade is clad in brick. It's really accentuated with a lot of decorative brick detailing. We have provided mechanical equipment at the roof, so we will be screening that with aluminum or a composite panel enclosure. The building will be fully protected by an automatic sprinkler system on all floors, including the parking areas beneath the second floor. A fire alarm system with all the required monitoring and components will also be integrated into the building design. The facade also features a large casement and fixed windows along the horizontal metal balconies and railings, of which you saw around not only in the rendering but in the elevations. And the street trees were purposely not shown in the front yard in this rendering for the sake of providing you all an unobstructed view of the proposed new building. However, we do have 2 trees planned for the front, and there's also a location where a tree would be planted and selected by the town arborist. So this would complete my review of our plans and the designs for the architectural portion. And I'm certainly here to answer any questions that you may have.
Let me just ask one follow-up question. Believe the report from the fire department also recommended Knox boxes for the building? Will those be provided?
Absolutely, yes.
I'm sorry, can you say that again,
Question?
please?
Yeah. Question was whether the fire department recommended Knox boxes for the building, and you can explain, what a Knox box is and confirm that they will be provided.
Yeah, anything that is required with respect to the fire alarm system, the sprinkler systems, boxes that, manual pulls, boxes that you break the glass and pull levers, detection devices, strobes, anything that's required for the fire alarm system in its entirety would definitely be installed there.
Okay.
Yeah.
I've just got a small point. The triangle property at the rear of this lot, it seems to be an unknown owner, the very small triangle. The tax bills have been going to the township for a number of years, and so there's no one who's known to own that small parcel.
Further, it is covered with debris, and it probably should be cleaned. There's tons of tires and ladders and oil cans and dead branches, tree branches, and things of that nature.
I got a quick question. Could you provide testimony for, if you go to NC permitted and conditional uses, 34790, mixed-use buildings that meet the following requirements. A4 says, all parking shall be fully screened or enclosed so as not to be visible from any public area. Can you give testimony as to whether or not that's true or not?
For the most part, I would believe that we've provided a pretty comprehensive landscaping plan around the entire perimeter of the rear and side yards of the building. And we are pretty comfortable that that would be screened. That would be sufficient screening and concealing the parking or the vehicles underneath the building. And to the side of the north, the property owner there has a wood fence that's erected as well. So that will remain.
Would the landscaping screen be on the other side of the walkway? Is that the idea?
That is correct.
Okay.
So the only place you see the cars, if you look toward where the entrance to the building is, you'll see the nose of the car sticking out, right?
The only place that you would see the cars from the public way here would be the rear of the 2 cars that's parked here. Everything is tucked in and nestled in.
Mm-hmm. But if you look
behind the
down
retail
where
space.
the entrance is, you look down the entrance, you can kind of see a car there, but not
Yeah,
where the
there's-
building entrance is. Where you walk up the stairs to the
Maybe walking
apartments.
this way, you might be able to.
No. Where the building entrance is for the apartments, if you look down that little passage sidewalk, you
Yeah.
can see the car sticking out right there. But that's it, right?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
So because it says not to be visible from any public area, but they do sort of stick out against the neighbor. But you say they're screened with a fence. And those trees are on, obviously, this property's side, yeah.
Agreed, yes.
Thank you.
The owner testified that there would be outdoor seating. Where would that be placed? And would that have any impact on the impervious
To be honest with you,
surface?
our office did not explore the placement of any furnishings whatsoever in the front of the property. I would assume that that is something that the property owner or the operator of the restaurant would determine once they decide what they're doing there. I think ideally, our client suggested that he would be doing that, but at this point in time, there's nothing that we have to offer to illustrate that.
I have a question. With regard to the recommendations from the fire department, it was saying something to the effect that a secondary means of egress should be provided from the residential portion of the building and from the garage. Given a narrow lot in proximity to property lines, egress routes should remain separated and not discharge adjacent to vehicle parking or potential fire exposures.
Okay.
Did you address that concern in some
Sure.
way?
I can understand the person that wrote this letter and have concerns. However, everything that we are designing is to the letter, to building code, and meets all statutory requirements. I don't know whether or not if that is something that is necessarily required of us. It seems to me that it was a suggestion that was made. It certainly isn't a requirement.
Mr. Hernandez.
Thank you. A couple questions on my end.
Well, before you move on, Ms. Willis, did that answer your question?
It answered the question, which basically said that you don't have to do it, and therefore you don't think that it's something you would like to do.
Somewhat, yes. The building itself is very much protected. It has a sprinkler system throughout the building. We do provide two means of egress from the apartments to the ground floor, and there is a very clear egress path from the parking area to the sidewalk, which is virtually unobstructed. In the unlikely event of a fire, for example, occurring inside of the building, we believe that with the automatic fire alarm system and the sprinkler system, that would be quickly mitigated. And therefore, though I understand the concern that the person that wrote that may have, there are items within the actual building code and law that mitigate those problems. So I understand the concern, but I believe that the building is designed to meet the required fire code.
It also mentions that a code-compliant fire alarm system with off-site monitoring is expected for mixed-use buildings. Separate notification zones for commercial, residential, and parking areas would be.
Yes, and I mentioned in my earlier testimony that we will have a automatic that we would have a fully compliant fire alarm system that would include central monitoring and all of those other controls. Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
Mr. Hernandez.
Thank
Sorry, I
you.
just want to make sure.
No.
She got her question answered.
Well done. Thank you. So, first question. This is something that was discussed at the DRC meeting. But is there anything that can be done to reduce the overall size and the width of the building columns that are being placed between the parking spaces? And the reason I ask, twofold, and I imagine maybe your engineer may go into a little more detail on this, but cars will be parking immediately against those building columns, trying to open up doors and such, which may be difficult for certain vehicles. And secondly, you're indicating a total striped parking stall width of 9 feet, which is correct. However, those parking spaces really don't have the benefit of a full 9-foot wide parking space because of those columns, which by my measurement here indicates it's about 1.4 inches in total width. So each parking space is losing about 8 inches on that side. So in practicality, those spaces are really 8 feet and 4 inches, not 9 feet, which I think would trigger another waiver in of itself. So if I could just get your thoughts on that and how you would plan to address those concerns.
It's a very good question. And quite honestly, our plan and what we're presenting to you is very conceptual based at this point in time. None of our drawings have been engineered or designed to a T, and we can certainly take that into consideration when we get to that portion of the project. Obviously, once we engage our structural engineer to assist us with designing the structural system that's required to support the structure above, we can certainly dictate some design criteria that hopefully will give us the benefit of reducing the size of those columns and providing additional area that's, I guess addressing the concerns that you brought forward.
Okay.
Hopefully that's a good enough answer to that. Unfortunately, I wish I could say that the structural system has been completely designed for the building. And,
So is this fair to say this represents perhaps a worst-case scenario for the building?
Absolutely, yeah.
Column? So
It should.
it's possible that they can be,
It's
that they
possible.
can be narrower.
It's possible.
Is it possible to get larger? I mean, I can appreciate where you are in the process, right? We're not expecting construction drawings at this point, but, this is a key issue
No, I
for us,
understand.
right? With the parking spaces
Sure.
is important for a number of reasons. One, you've got the public parking back here. So, sometimes we hear, well, the residents will get used to it. The public may not. So, it's an important issue for being able to access the site and for the public to be back there safely.
Agreed. These are all valid concerns, and we certainly support the idea of doing whatever we can to mitigate this problem. To answer your question, could it possibly become larger? Theoretically, yes, but I think for us, the key is to make it smaller, so that's the direction that we'll be vectoring toward. It's a design problem, and I believe that the structural engineer should be able to come up with a viable solution to remedy this design problem.
Would you have the structural engineer here before us? Because we've got this hearing, right, to hear your design waivers, right? And that's, in this case, it doesn't give me a lot of comfort, when you say, well, we should be able to work around it, we're going to work around it, because, you're presenting a plan here to us. And this is the only plan we have, and it's only, all we can use to make our decision is the testimony and the plans. So it doesn't give me a lot of comfort that it might get bigger, and that's a much smaller parking space now, even
Right.
with a couple of inches.
Right.
As somebody who has parked right up against concrete columns and parking garages
Right.
before, it's not easy.
Right, yeah, what I stated was to agree with you that hypothetically, yes, it could get larger, not to say that that's the direction that we would be going.
No, I understand, but we need some level of certainty here. Like,
Yeah,
again, I
With
appreciate
certainty,
where you are.
What we have here is a bare minimal, and what we'll try and do is reconcile this and make it smaller. And that's what we would attempt to do, is to make these columns smaller than what they are. Again, it's something that needs to be engineered and designed. I understand your concern, and if that is what you require, we can certainly provide you with some clarification from a structural engineer. Whether or not, if you require a full hearing to hear that, you have to tell us, but we can certainly engage our structural engineer to come back to you with a response that may be suitable to you, in accepting this as either something that could be designed as being smaller or not. I mean, they'll tell us what they can do.
I think our site engineer is also going to talk about the columns and the parking and the way they're laid out.
Okay.
In a way that should not impair cars getting in and out of the spaces. Because you don't have columns on both sides of any spaces. It would be on one side, so you'd have a little pinch there of 6 inches or so, which again, I think allows for a car.
Sounds like more than 6 inches. And that's what I'm trying to get down to, is what is this pinch? And I can appreciate, I think you just don't necessarily know.
I don't. And
Right.
That's
So,
what I'm
and I'm not
saying,
going to pin
yes.
you on because you're not a
Yeah.
structural engineer,
No.
right?
But our civil guy and the person that can talk to maneuverability with vehicles will be able to address some of these concerns, hopefully.
Please.
There was another related issue that came up in the DRC, which was the westerly stairwell, which has an exterior opening door on it, would be a blind spot for people coming out of that and potentially hitting cars. So I guess, because I'm a rookie to this whole business, I would ask, is it code that that door has to open out?
Has to push in the direction of egress.
All right. And, yeah, that would make sense. So is there a way to, I believe it was maybe Planner Kelly or somebody who was saying that there could be a window on the side, or how do we deal with the problem of a car traveling from the back and maybe going 5 miles an hour and possibly hitting that door? Or is there a landing there?
I believe that those questions would be easily answered with the expert testimony that will be coming in from the civil engineer that's dealing with the parking issues.
Okay, fine.
Maybe I'll just ask then too, does that door have a stop? Since you're the architect, right, you're designing the door.
Yeah.
Does that stop at 90 degrees, or does it continue 180 and possibly conflict with a car that would be parked there? It's maybe a separate yet related issue to what the council raised.
I would assume that the door itself would swing 180 degrees if it could. We don't have a problem with that, as long as it's on an automatic self-closer, and maybe provide a vision panel inside the door that's fire rated, so we don't lose any fire rating with that opening in the door. We should be fine. Design-wise, we've shown it at a 90-degree swing, but we can certainly hyperextend it if we needed to.
I'm actually, I think it's the other way around. I
Okay.
think I would say stop it at 90 so
Okay.
that,
Yeah.
you know, because I
That's
can
what
see,
we have shown.
you know, having lived in apartments before,
Yeah.
sometimes I use the stairs rather than wait for the elevator. I
Yeah.
can see people who live right near the stairs going down there and just smashing the door
Yeah.
open to get to their car.
Yeah. Yeah,
And
that
if it
can be
swings
easily
beyond
controlled
90
with the closer in the door. It can limit the openness of the swing.
Okay, and that's something you can do and you're willing to do?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
One more question from my end. Maybe it's a little difficult to see on the projector screen here, but looking closer at the printouts, there's some columns that it appears that there's a bollard right in front of the column, and some that are not with a bollard. Is there a reason as to why some have bollard protection and others don't?
I believe that you would have to ask the engineer those questions regarding
Okay.
the bollards in the parking.
Okay, I just wasn't sure if there was some indication on your end that these need to be protected with bollards versus others. Okay.
I'm going to follow up now with my question about the basement. How big is the basement, and what is its use, and where is the, I guess the ingress and egress is that stair that's right there? That also connects with the,
That is correct.
so
That
what's
connects
down
the
there?
basement. Right now, it's just unassigned. It'll probably end up being storage space, mechanical rooms, meter
What's the
rooms.
size of the basement?
It has the same footprint as the
As a
upper
re-
floor.
As a restaurant?
Yeah.
Would it be used by the restaurant as cooking space, or?
I do not believe that we would be cooking anything down there. None of that
Thanks.
has been discussed, so we've not.
Sorry, could you just clarify, you said it was the size of the restaurant? That's the size of the basement?
Approximately.
About the
yeah.
size of the restaurant, okay.
Or is it the size of that whole first floor?
Right.
Is what it looks closer like, at least on
Yeah.
the plans to my eye.
Yeah.
So because just those stairs that are to the left
It
of
would
the
be
restaurant,
extent of this.
that goes
Obviously,
downstairs
because
as well.
There's a shaft that needs to
Yeah.
go down for the elevator.
Right.
And then the stairs communicating. So this area would definitely go down to that area, and then the usable area would be.
So it's kind of what I would say is both sides of that first floor, the commercial and then the residential entry, it's that same size in the basement. Is that fair?
I didn't quite understand your question.
So the way we look at it here, we've got the commercial space on the right, and we have the residential lobby on the left and some mechanicals. Is it fair to say that the size of the basement is both of those together? The commercial and the residential lobby section?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Mr. Tremblay, did you finish your questions for your witness?
I think so, yes.
Okay. Questions from the board? More questions from the board, I should say?
Oh, one question for you. You've got very residential buildings and two, the brick building is an attractive building, is a very attractive building too. I'm not taking away anything from the design of this building. But architecturally, did the thought enter your mind to transition into a residential neighborhood with your architecture?
Absolutely, yes. And that's part of the reason. We can go to the last slide, please. There's some conventions that we tried to incorporate into design. For example, we created a subtle archway here. We set the building back to align with more of the residential candor of the neighborhood, providing open space, green yard in the front. We really tried to limit the amount of awkward embellishments that some commercial buildings can have. So it's all about brickwork, choice of color, materials, and finishes. The canopy is very subtle. It's not a very misplaced, misproportioned, out of placement on the building. We kept the signage at a very minimal. If you notice, the only signage that we have is something that is just on the face here of the awning, which is less than 6 inches. And then there's, in effect, almost like a blade sign or something here just at the corner. There are some obvious things that would make the building stand out, like, the protection barrier here for heights, for limiting heights for vehicles going into the space. But even the color of the storefront material, we're looking at something with a more natural color, more like a greenish tone or tint, as opposed to what is typically boilerplate bronze or black aluminum, extruded aluminum frame with glass in it. So we tried to really clean that up a bit. And then all of the windows, for the most part, have the divided light, and gives it that more residential look and feel to the face of the building. So I believe that we've accomplished that quite effectively here. We didn't put the metal railings for balconies and things like that in the front. We tried to cover that a little bit with brick masonry work, so it has the feeling of almost like a porch, which is pretty common to two-story or multiple family housing. If you drive anywhere up and down, for example, just around the corner here on Claremont, you drive by these wood frame structures that have porches that are stacked right above each other. The siding of the house kind of protects the barrier or creates the fall protection that's required there, but here it's done with masonry, so it's just nice and clean and simple. And then just keep in mind, we wanted something that was durable and something that doesn't require maintenance and painting every 10, 15 years, and something that really lends itself to just the natural look and feel of the block. We've personally walked up and down the block quite a few times, and starting along Watchung, most of the buildings there has a mixture of using natural brick and stucco. That's the primary construction material that's used there. And then once you start coming north from that node where the 5 Points is, you'll see that most of the residential housing there has a mixture of brick, a mixture of clapboard, a mixture of stucco, there's just a mixture of all kinds of things. And we tried to incorporate some of those things that we thought was more fitting for this property. So therein lies the use of stucco on the side of the building as well, which is something that's very obvious with the house just directly across the street. It's a Tudor-esque looking house, has a grayish white stucco exterior finish. So yeah, I think we've done a pretty good job in just trying to make it fit in and not jump out at you as you walk by and question why it's here. I think it's quite honestly a really nice looking building.
Could you, the roof plan, HVAC, you probably should see that it you know, if you could give us some illustrations about what's going to be sticking out of the roof, is it fenced, because you don't see it here because of the angle. I think if you had a
Yes, we have them on the elevations, and you'll also see that it's so far set back from the street face that you would not be able to see that from a standing, if you're standing in the middle of the street or across the street, it's going to be very difficult to see that structure here from down here on Park Street. And you may be able to see a portion of it from the rail bed, but with the way this building is situated and nestled between the two buildings or the two properties on either side of it, you're not going to experience or notice that as well when you're walking down the street from the sidewalk because it's so far back.
So all the HVAC compressors will be
In this area here, which is screened, yes.
What color is that screening?
I'm sorry?
What color do you expect to have that screening be?
I don't know. I mean, I would assume that it would be maybe along the same family line as the siding along the back of the building to where it seems as though it's a continuation of material going
So like a
above.
lighter color?
Yeah, I would recommend that. If we were to make it something dark, it stands out and it kind of creates attention. And the key is to really make it set back to where it doesn't draw too much attention.
I would agree. Other questions from the board?
How close is 260 to 258? It does, between, you know, the westerly and 260, 258 does kind of get overwhelmed. I agree it's a fine-looking building. But, you know, after the westerly, it's all
Here.
residential-appearing buildings.
These are all drawn to scale and gives you
Yeah.
an indication of how they stack up.
And how
next
does
to
the
each other.
shadow, how are the shadows going to impact 258? Is that thing, it's going to cut off a lot of light, right?
And
Hold
262.
on a second.
And 262, yeah. Because that's,
The
260
predominant-
is south of 262, right? So you're going to lose a lot of light there.
258, southern exposure is where the westerly is, so it would be the westerly elevation and not our elevation. We're more in the northern portion of that building.
But then
so,
262 is going to get covered also.
262 has the potential of, maybe, I don't know. It might, I don't know. I can't answer that question. I just don't know.
And again, you know, fine-looking building, but, you know, that's all residential appearing, all those buildings are residential in appearance after the westerly. So it's not an insignificant change here.
Right.
Okay.
When you say residential in appearance.
Well, I understand that you're in the NC.
Exactly.
Too. No,
I just
I
wanna make sure that we
understand that,
don't-
but it is certainly.
Yeah, conflate the two things, yeah. I
In
think
terms
that's
of
very-
character of the neighborhood, it is certainly a change.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Other questions from the board? Members of the public? I would say either take turns coming up or form a line over on the side, your choice, but please ask any questions about the architect's testimony to the architect.
I'm going to do something novel and ask a question.
We'll just, if you could just repeat your name and address, if you wouldn't mind.
Jay Turner, 274 Park Street.
Thank you.
So it looks like the elevation, I believe you said on the new building, would potentially be 35 feet. Is that what you said?
That is correct.
Okay. I believe on the westerly, from your diagram, it looks like it's taller than the westerly. Am I correct? Or
No, you're incorrect. I'll explain why. If you look at the elevation at the street, it's flat. And then right at this point, it goes up. The street actually has an incline at this point, and then it goes across. So what you're saying theoretically, visually, when you're comparing elevations side by side, yes. However, in actuality, the dimension is what it is.
Okay,
Hopefully that answered your question.
well, I guess.
Sir, if you could speak in the
Yeah, say,
microphone.
yeah.
I
And just so we make sure, 'cause- and part of the reason for making sure that we get you in the microphone
Yep.
and we don't have comments from the back is so that it's all part of the
Yep,
record, right?
Understood. And then, I believe you stated that you wouldn't be able to see the HVAC systems on the roof because they set back from the street? Isn't that what you said?
I said something to that effect, yes. I said that based on where they are positioned in the center of the building, which is more than 70 or 65 to 70 feet away from the street face, that is, you're least likely to see any of the shrouding if you were standing on Park Street. So I pretty much stand by that, yes.
Okay, I wouldn't understand if you're standing on Park Street, but if you're walking up Watchung or turning the corner, or you're over at the hardware store looking across, as your diagram shows, you would most definitely see it. Would you be amenable to doing a front facade like they did on the Westerly, so it extends up and you don't see any of that?
As in putting a parapet wall up?
Don't know what parapet means, but...
Which means extending the masonry all the way up to where you don't see the canopy?
Yeah.
Okay, so that sounds like a wonderful idea, but I can explain to you why it's perhaps not the best idea, and you may agree with me once I explain this to you. And if not, then perhaps I'm not understanding how this could work. But what's happening here is that this is 35 feet from here to here, right? So what you're asking me now to do is extend this wall up another 3 feet?
I don't know
in the
about
front
3
of-
feet, but maybe a foot.
Even if it's a foot. Now we're starting to play with proportions to where this building will, in fact, do what you were saying that it was already doing when in fact it isn't currently because of the elevation change. You're making this building much taller than it really needs to be. And
No,
I'm
sir,
not sure.
it's already, those don't go away, they're there, that's the actual height of the building.
But they're set far back.
So it sounds like
it's
a no.
It's about,
It sounds like a no.
what is the question?
If that was something you could do, so it sounds like.
It is
that's not
something that we can
something
do.
you want
However, I didn't think that it was the best thing to do, and I tried to explain why.
to do. Okay, understood. All right, thank you.
You're welcome. Hi.
So, Gerald Fierce, 259 Park Street. I just was asking about ambient light at night. I know with the Westerly that was an issue, especially for LG, who lives next door to your building, the northerly residential house. How are you going to light the side of the building where people are coming and going along that path? And with the Westerly, they also put in facade lighting, which does create ambient light onto Park Street, and for the houses across the street is comes in our windows. You know, it isn't a big deal, but I know it will be a big deal for the people on either side of you.
Okay. I do know that there is a presentation coming after me that's specifically, we'll talk about site lighting.
Oh, okay.
And I think that I
thought
would
that was the
probably
artistic.
defer that
Sure.
question to that gentleman.
Perfect.
But in general, we try to design to where we use dark lighting, which means that we don't have light that's being shot up in the air, and it's very controlled and constrained and illuminating the areas that is needed, where lighting is needed the most around the building. So with a tight focus beam that typically illuminates just the walk areas or the walkways around the building. On occasion, we may put some accent lighting to highlight some of the architectural features of it, but that space, that building is something typically really super special when we do something like that. I don't believe that that will be an issue with this building, but again, that would be answered by the person that would be following.
Terrific. Thank
Okay.
you.
You're welcome.
Sean Wang from 272 Park Street. Earlier today, we talked about two banked parking spaces. Can you show us where they are from your site map?
I would defer that question to the civil engineer when he
Okay.
talks about the parking.
All right, thank you.
Once again, Donna Pickett, 255 Park Street. Is there any way that, when you look at this design and the height, is there any way you can make it lower than 35 feet?
Ma'am, if you could speak into the microphone when you
Can
ask
you
the
make
question.
it
Thank you.
lower than 35 feet? I know you're talking about the elevation, but it just looks out of place.
It's different. It's new. It's something that you're not accustomed to seeing there, and it would look odd, just at first glance and reaction to it. But it's a very well-balanced and proportioned, and the heights fall within the metes and bounds of the zoning requirements that allows construction along that way, that
With all
that
due
elevation.
respect, I appreciate your opinion, but visually, I think it should be less than 35 feet for the neighborhood.
Okay.
It's something that we could
Thank you.
take into consideration. And have you walked around the village?
As I stated as a part of my testimony, yes, I did walk through. In fact, I walked through most recently with one of my colleagues
Okay, because
this
this
past
looks
Sunday.
like Brooklyn to me. And is there any way that we could maybe redesign the facade of the building to look more like a Tudor, to fit like it's in the village?
This particular property does not fall within the historic
It's not a
area.
historic thing. It's
A Tudoresque house being built in 2025 is not
well,
necessarily.
just the facade to
Okay.
fit with the town village. I know that the Westerly is a little more commercial, but this is in between houses. So it just looks like a box.
Mhm. Yeah, if you, I would, I understand your concern. I do not believe that we will be modifying the design unless it is dictated by our client to do so. I'm not privileged to make a design decision
Mhm.
at your request at this point in time.
It's just such an eyesore, that's all. That's all I have.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Do I have to say my name again?
Yes, please.
Oh,
Just
Diane
since-
Moore, Wine Gas, 268 Park.
Thank you.
I'm married. And I have 4 kids.
This is why you shouldn't post things on social media. The minute you say something, you've got a rep. Okay. Do you know how far away is the closest fire hydrant?
That was listed in the fire department's report, and I believe it was somewhere in the area of 250 or so feet, which is accepted.
That's the one in front of my house.
Yeah.
Ah.
That's
Okay.
normal.
That's normal, 250 feet for that type of, well,
There's-
that type of business, we'll have to start looking up what that type of business would require for fire,
Mike,
because when you
yeah.
start putting in a
In front of
pizza-
250 Park Street, it's approximately 250 feet from the main entrance. And there's a second one at 268, which is 210 from the main entrance.
say the first one again, please?
Pardon?
The first part of that you said is where?
I said there is a fire hydrant located in front of 268 Park Street, which
Yes.
is approximately 210 feet from the main entrance.
Is that the closest one?
That is the closest one.
Okay, so then we have, I mean, that we'd have to speak to the fire department about, they'll know that.
I believe it's somebody from the fire department wrote that letter that he's referencing.
That is correct. And
Somebody from the fire department wrote that?
Correct.
Okay. Well, the rest of that part is comment, so I'll leave that. Just, we're questions now, right?
Yes, please.
Okay. Oh, yeah, could you go back to the map, the first, go.
It's the first slide.
I have to say, it's very hard to see this. The light should be dimmed, and would that help us, could we see square footage if the lights were dim? Because that would be.
There aren't any square footages posted on the drawings.
There are no square footages on the drawings?
No.
Okay, so the only place to then, we can't really see it then in one whole thing. We'd have to get to the plans and open them up and look.
Are you talking about square footages of the sites? Is this the image that you're looking for?
Square footage for the property, for the site, for the space between lot, the 258 and the site, and each property, how wide is the property? How wide is the driveway going in. Is that 18 feet? Not
The drive, all of the,
proposed driveway for the building you want to build?
yes, it's approximately 18 feet. The width-
Approximately?
Yes.
Okay.
But there's an expert that will be testifying to the exact size of that coming after my
Is
testimony.
that coming this evening? Do we have somebody, a specialist on this coming this evening? Because then why didn't we have them first? That's a question, not to, I can't, why can't I ask you questions?
Because this is for questioning their expert witnesses. But is the
That's
question
fine,
of
but
why did they?
why can't we ask the board questions?
I mean, what do you? What
You
would
guys
like to
know, right? I
No,
mean,
they,
you have
no. The applicant puts on their case. We
Okay.
don't dictate how they put on their case. If they want to put the planner on first, they can put the
They
planner
could do
on
whatever
first.
they
They
want.
could put
Okay.
Mr. Anderson, who's a
Okay.
civil engineer, on. You know.
Okay, so that's
last-
not your protocol.
No. We're here to listen, and kind of like a judge, right? That's why I say it's quasi judicial.
Okay.
We're more like judges up here, minus the black robes. They present their case. We listen. We ask questions. We try to get as much information that'll allow us to make a decision. We don't dictate how they put on their case.
And if we had a question about how the board does something, who would we ask as residents?
That would be Ms. Talley.
We would ask you, okay.
Yes.
Well, let's not do that right this minute, 'cause you work here.
Your microphone's not on.
So,
this.
okay.
Yeah, I work here for the township, so I'm here
You're-
during the day. You can reach
Great.
out to me, and I can tell you about the process.
Okay, great.
Yeah,
That
Ms.
takes-
Talley's the Director of Planning and Community Development. Is that the official title here at the township? And she's also our board secretary.
You're the director? Could I ask who you are? Oh, you're the town engineer, okay.
He's the township engineer. Well, he's here as the board's engineer. He also happens to be the township engineer as well.
Okay, oh, good. And do you work here too, in the building? Okay.
Well, he's not. You're not in this building specifically. You're
At 219.
Were you at DCS?
You're at 219, okay.
Okay. And then and just so everyone else knows, Mr. Neese is our board attorney here on the end, the gentleman in the suit.
Hallelujah. I don't see things like with titles, so I can't tell and who you are.
You don't think I look like a lawyer?
Well, if you do, then we have quite a few attorneys in the room here, right? We have attorneys? No, seriously for a minute, though. Because I didn't understand that now we're going to first hear from experts, so that may trigger other questions.
Absolutely.
Okay,
Absolutely.
so we're going to settle in for a while then, okay.
Yeah, I mean, we're getting close to the point we don't take new witnesses at night, so I suspect this will get carried to another date, but we're not there yet.
You're not there yet, okay. So,
Oh, and just one other thing, in terms of plans, so the plans are available online for
yes.
one, and also there should be a set of plans in Ms. Talley's office.
there's always there, I understand. But it is a lot different when you have the benefit of a screen where you can get an overall picture of the area. And so, I'm going to walk over here.
Ma'am, there's a handheld mic if you'd like to speak from the screen. Yes, it has to be on the record, yes.
It's on the record, plus, the public has really good comments, right? We want to make sure it's reflected in the record.
Hi. Okay. So the site that you want to develop is this site here, correct?
No.
Oh, I'm sorry. Where is it? 260, 18. Okay, so the closest pump is not on the map. So just, I don't see it. Because I know this house is 266. This is maybe, doesn't look like my house, but 268, but you can't see the pump.
The fire hydrant you're
Yeah,
speaking
you can't-
about?
I'm sorry.
Okay.
Fire hydrant, sorry about that. You can't see the hydrant. Is it possible that you may be required to do something different there? Well, you may get a letter that you get, and maybe I could get a different letter. So I don't know that. But it's very far away from a business with ovens in there. You have the Milburn Deli is a simple, well, they do also have, I believe, the Milburn Deli. I have to tell you, I've never been in there, and I live there. But that's a takeout sandwich type business, and I don't think they have.
I would say that
They have
there
a
is
grill,
a fire.
maybe. There's a grill.
So I would just make sure that, you know, it is of note that there is a fire suppression system located inside the building itself.
Inside the
Right, correct.
proposed
So there are
building?
automated,
Yes.
correct.
There
So
has
that's
to
the
be, right.
requirement, right? So there will be fire prevention methods and protections in place within
Sprinklers and
that
things
may
like
not
that.
require a hydrant. And I'm no fire expert, but I am saying
Okay.
that was testified
So, well,
to
that
earlier.
obviously is a top concern, but,
And I'll just add that in this letter, so just so we're clear, this is from the Montclair Fire Department Fire Prevention Bureau. They did a technical review of these plans, and these are the fire safety comments. Let's see, it was prepared by the fire official, Mr. Thompson. And this should be available online as well, but he said specifically under water supply, said hydrant spacing is acceptable for this area.
Okay, so that may be true, and I don't know, but then I'll submit these pictures for you all later, why no fire truck could get to that pump, that hydrant, because it's always covered with cars, and so cars park there regularly. That,
The hydrant in front of your house?
in front of our house, yes. I can take these every day. So you can't, and the only way to enforce, obviously, is to call the police or the fire department. If the police, that's not considered an emergency. If the police can come, they will come to ticket somebody, but a lot of times that person is left and the next it's a kind of thing. We'll get into that. We'll get into that later. The other question, I had another question. Could you go back to the picture of the storage units for a second?
Sure, of course.
And just, you said they were
You
a
said
certain...
storage units?
But did you say there was storage for each apartment?
Yes,
Where is that now?
they're on each floor.
On each floor?
Yes.
Okay. And they're in a certain color?
They're uncolored, actually, and there's 1, 2, 3, 4, and then a common building one that's here.
Okay. Without...
Each floor has a similar configuration.
And you don't have those dimensions of storage? Like, is it 3 feet by 4 feet, or is it...
They all vary, but they do meet the town ordinance requirement of them being at least 200 feet, and it doesn't really explicitly say square feet or cubic feet, but we'd certainly meet.
Well, cubic feet is a very different thing than, let me ask, isn't cubic feet a very different thing than square feet?
It would not be a 200 square foot storage containment unit for a 1,200 square foot apartment.
You can't tell me how big the storage units are on average, any?
Yeah, they're on average about 25 to 65 square feet floor space. I mean, they vary. They're all not the same size.
Okay, so that's another look at each
Yeah.
plan for that.
All of that it's in the drawings.
But I don't think it's listed, it's not called out specifically.
Okay. Is that something that's required at this point?
I mean, it's usually helpful, so we know
Sure.
Yeah,
that
what
it
it's gonna look
conforms,
like.
Right?
Okay.
I also, when I went up to look at the plans, I asked about the height of the building. They said 36 feet, so you're saying it's 35 feet?
The building itself is 35 feet, and then it has a little lip around the edge that extends it just a little bit above, yes.
That brings it to
Yeah.
36? Okay. I'm not going to ask about the parking, because we have somebody who is going to speak to that. Okay. And, so I can call you, and may I call you as well for legal?
I do all the time.
You do? Okay. I'm going to give this to whoever I got it from.
Victor Weingas, 268 Park Street. I take it now is not the time to address parking issues, but I do have a question. The rendering shows grass in front, but I forgot your name, but he referred to that having outdoor seating. So that's two uses for the same space. You're not going to put seating on grass, so which is it?
I thought I addressed this during my testimony, but for your sake, I'll hopefully reiterate this in a way where it's a little bit more clear, perhaps. The operator of that restaurant, as the building owner has stated, has not been clearly identified yet. He gave two potential.
It has nothing to do with who's going to be there.
No, I
It's
understand.
just talking about, for both uses, you suggested there would be outdoor seating.
But I don't know that.
Okay, then I'm not asking
Well,
the right
that's what the applicant testified to. That's why
Yeah.
he's asking. The applicant
Okay.
said there's outdoor seating. You're saying
Yeah.
you don't have any knowledge of that, which
Yeah.
both are true, may be true, but I think the gentleman here from the public asking about why the disconnect.
Okay. Yeah.
And Mr. Tremblay may have an answer.
I have an answer, because I just spoke with my client. There's not going to be any outdoor seating. Okay.
So what we heard before is
Well, he
not
he
correct.
realized it's not provided for, there's no room for it.
Thank you.
So,
Jimmy Justina, 296 Park Street. So regarding the brick, is it going to be similar to the westerly as, you know, it's shown there, right? Is that like a commitment that it's going to be close to that color? It's not going to be yellow brick like Pine Street or something, you know?
Yeah, we wouldn't use yellow brick in this community. It would be very inappropriate, I think, for this building.
Right. But you're using the term brick, so
Yes.
we don't want to bait and switch, right? So it's going to be close to the, okay.
Yeah, I mean, this rendition of the building is really our way of communicating to you how we actually envision the building to be.
Okay.
So it's certainly within this realm of color. There could be some variation because of the way the light is projecting this onto the projector screen, or the way your printout is if you were to go online and get it and print it out on your home printer. But generally speaking, there will not be a bait and switch, so to speak, of our intended finish for the building, which is, I think, well represented in this image.
Okay, thank you. And then regarding the setback, right? So currently, the setback aligns with the houses, but the rest of Watchung Plaza is closer to the street. So is the goal to be part of the commercial Watchung Plaza?
That is a great question.
Why did you end up with this setback?
We understand how sensitive this particular site is, being the end of that NC district. And this is a way of bridging the residential area that starts literally on the first northernmost property from this site to the commercial buildings that are just south of that. So this is almost like a transition where we're setting this commercial building back from the street just a little bit to give the front yard, and then it transitions into the highly commercialized building and street front that you see, or streetscape that you see that's along that Park Street western elevation. And I don't know, but I know that the building adjacent to us is also a prime candidate for a development like such.
Right.
And in all probability, we're not engaged. I don't know if such a thing exists, but looking forward, one would have to assume that something will probably happen there
Correct.
at some point in time. So, you know.
And will they
this is-
be commercial or back
we
to the
can't-
houses?
we
right?
can't
That's
dictate-
not your
yeah,
problem,
that's
that's
not our
their
property.
problem next
Yeah.
year, right?
Yeah.
Right?
Only if they need a variance.
Right, right. So, because the setback affects the parking, right? So if it's closer to the street, maybe that solves your parking thing. But you gave a good answer, so
Oh,
thank you.
thank you.
Thanks for that. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else from the public? Going once?
I just have a question about the brick color.
Yes.
In this picture, it looks quite red. And my sense of the westerly building is that the brick is toned down, not as red.
Mhm.
Do you have a palette? Do you have an example of how this is going to look?
I believe we have some samples or some idea of what that should look like, yes. Yeah.
And can you bring those next time?
We could certainly share that with you all. I don't see any reason why we wouldn't
No reason.
do that. It's going to happen sooner or later.
Yeah, I think it would be helpful, you know, just a material board of, you know, the key components of that. What is it going to look like? So then we can take a look at it and have a better sense, because I think you rightly point out, it looks very red. I was going to ask, is it a red brick? And, you know, how does that compare to the Westerly? So I think you raised a good point, Mr. Neese. Thank you. Sure. Yes.
I just have a question for Attorney Nice, which is, isn't it not true that the setback for this building would not be purely the NC setback, but would also be a function of the surrounding properties setbacks as they exist?
What is it? The setbacks, is it a question of the average setback, or is it defined in the ordinance?
Oh, I just checked that in the ordinance. The ordinance says that it can be the setback, if there's an existing building, it can match the building that's closest to the street. So I'm not sure what the setbacks are of the two houses that are adjacent to this property, but whichever one's closest to the street, you can match that for the ordinance.
The reason I'm asking the question is just not to push back too hard, but I do like that the end of the NC zone would be a transition, which would have some kind of a setback from the street, but you are portraying it a bit as a grand gesture, when in fact the zoning requirement would hold that you would not be allowed to go all the way forward as if it was, you know, in another part of the NC zone.
Okay.
Just for the.
Is that accurate?
For the record.
No, I mean, we consciously pushed it back because we thought that this would be a nice transition for the community. Just so
No, but is Councilor D'Amato accurate that you would not be able to move it forward closer to the street?
I think that our building actually goes back a little bit farther than, no. Just take a quick look here. I don't remember. No, it does not.
As soon as we finish this one.
It does not, yeah.
Sorry, could you clarify the answer?
No. I'm just saying that it's pretty close to alignment with.
Where you're permitted to.
That is correct.
20-foot setback.
Yeah,
Where it's
20-foot
permitted to
setback,
align.
yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Hi. Leaving this rendering up, did you say that there wasn't going to be, the light wasn't going to be completely blocked from 258? There's no way that light is going to get through. That whole side of the house is in darkness once that building goes up. Are you seeing what I'm seeing? This is for you, sir. I don't know your name, but.
I'm not sure what your question is.
Okay.
Ma'am, can you grab the handheld mic, please?
Do you still have that, Mr. Hernandez? There you go. Thank you.
I think you said that there wasn't going to be a blocking of light between 258 and the proposed building. There's not a driveway in there. That's just garbage cans and a little bit of lawn. So the space between these is what? Are you proposing? Is that 6 feet between the house and the building? Or 8 feet? You'd have to tell me. But I can't, a building that's 35 feet high is going to block the entire property of 258 as far as light on that side of the house. The light is
262 also.
I'm sorry, 258.
Both sides.
On both, well, this side, well, this will definitely block at one time of the day, and that'll block at the other time of the day as the sun moves. This is in darkness, completely, 258. So I don't know what you said. I thought you said that the light gets through here. I don't see how that's possible.
No, what I said is that that's the northern exposure of the building, and you're not going to get direct sunlight anyway into it. You will get ambient light coming in. The southern exposure side of the building will get the most direct sunlight, is what I said.
Do you have a photograph of the houses without the building there, by the way, as they stand right now?
Sure, yeah.
Can you put that up? So this is the house now. Is this 260?
That is it, yes.
And this here is 262? And you think that when this goes to 35 feet in the block form that it's proposed, that's not going to block out light from there and here? That's kind of that's kind of easy to determine. You get somebody who knows about that, and bring them in and have them just say these will be blocked. If you want to, if that's how it is, fine. Then that's what we should know. But these two sides of this building are completely blocked of light. Also, I don't know. I mean, privacy is an issue. I don't know. There are lots of
question. Is there a question about privacy?
Coming with that? Thank you.
You're welcome. Anyone else from the public have questions for the architect? All right, I don't see any. And Mr. Tremblay, you still have 2 more witnesses, right?
Yes.
I'm going to suggest we carry this to another night.
You would,
yeah.
given your normal practice.
This is our typical practice, yes, since we're past 10 o'clock, although the clock back there says it's past 11, so it's throwing me off thinking it's even later. Ms. Talley, what dates do we have available to carry this?
Hold on just a second. Yeah. We can carry it to November 17th, unless you'd prefer to do it in December.
I'm going to be visiting my youngest daughter in London.
Is your microphone still on, Mr. Trembulak? Is your microphone still on?
Okay, so how
I'm not
about,
available on the 17th.
how about
Yeah,
December 1st?
December 1st is okay.
All right, so we'll carry this to December 1st. Is that okay with the rest of your team?
We think so. Yes.
So we'll carry, at this point, we'll carry
December
to
1st.
December 1st with no further notice required, and you'll consent to any needed time extensions?
Yes, we do.
Okay. Good. All right. So we'll move on. Do we have any committee reports?
We do not have any committee reports, no.
Okay.
We have a DRC meeting this week, so.
Okay. Any bills?
No bills,
I don't
because
see
I
any.
did not attach them. And Mr. D'Amato, Eric, you should have the DRC package in front of you, so.
Yeah, thank you.
All right.
I meant to send it on Friday, but I was stuck in the airport and wasn't able to, and my secretary wasn't in, so. I had to hand it over
Things
today.
happen.
So,
I already got it, and I already walked by the place.
huh?
I already.
All right, then I
went
would
to the
move
property.
adjournment at this point.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions?
Have a good night, everyone.
Good job. Thank you. Friday was like